Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are and where we come from. So who are you and where did you come from?
My name is Jennifer Fay and I come from Charlotte Street.
And Jennifer, we have someone else with us today. So who else do we have with us today?
Rosie.
Hi, Rosie. And Rosie, come here, tell me this. How old are you?
5.
5. And do you know why I want to sit down? I'm actually going to talk to you before I talk to your mammy, okay? I wanted to sit down and talk to you because you were doing something really, really special. What were you doing?
I run for Hannah.
You run for Hannah. And who is Hannah?
She's in a wheelchair. Best friend.
She's your best friend, is she?
Yeah.
And she's in a wheelchair. And what are you doing? Are you trying to raise money for her?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Road, cycle and walk.
What? At 5? I couldn't even do that now.
5k every day.
You're doing 5k every day? And you're not knackered after it?
Yeah.
Yeah? No. No, you're not tired.
I wish I could do some more.
Ah, really? And did you raise a lot of money for her?
Yeah.
Are you saying yeah for me? We're doing lots of nodding at the head. And we probably should have this on camera rather than doing this so people can hear you, because people need to hear you. And why do you want to do more for her?
But I do.
I know. Why?
I do.
You want to help her?
Yeah.
And how old is Hannah?
5.
Same age as you. And come here, tell me this. Did I see something that you were doing it? Do you do the run by yourself or who would you do your runs with?
My baby or my daddy. The inner city running club.
The Inner City Running Club.
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
And Carl.
And Carl. And did they help you to run?
Yeah.
And tell me this, did you, I seen something on Instagram that there was a big party
Yeah.
and there was like some awards. Did you win an award?
Yeah.
What did you win?
The glass.
The glass trophy? And what did you win it for?
Down on me running.
Oh, you're so good. What did she win it for, Jennifer?
Inspirational run out of the year.
What? Little you won that. Who do you want to be like? Tell me what.
Ellie.
Kelly Harrington? Do you want to go all the way to the Olympics?
Yeah.
Do you? And you could. I well imagine in a few years' time, 10
I'll
years' time.
box your head off.
Is that what Kelly did? Is that what you like about her? Because she's real strong and she'd kill you? What's it like doing the run?
Good.
And how does it make you feel?
Good.
Good. And come here, was everyone cheering you on when you were doing the run? And what was that like? Did you feel like Kelly Harrington where people were saying, go Rosie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make you feel good? Right, go on, you can go and play now. You're going to say goodbye to me.
Yeah, bye.
Go on. So we've just stopped there and had a cup of tea and let Rosie go out to play. So I'm now with Rosie's mum, Jennifer. Take me back to you and your life growing up in Sheriff Street, and what was that like?
Oh, it was brilliant. I loved growing up in town. Loved it. I'm the second oldest of 12 and me mum and dad, but my little brother and sister, we lost a little brother and sister as I was growing up. But so there's 10 of us now and we're all real close, like a little close knit. We do anything for each other. The support from them is unbelievable and it's always been like that as you're growing up. Now we used to kill each other as well as babies, but not anymore. We're so close. But my mum and dad would have brought us up that way to always be there and support each other because we did go through hell growing up, you know, losing the brother and sister. So that's all we would have known, was to be there for each other.
What age did you lose your brother and sister?
I was 6 when my little sister died. She was 4.5 months. We lived in the flats.
Yeah.
And her name is Lauren. She was a gorgeous little child. And then I was 14 when Aaron passed away. He had a hole in his heart, but he was 2.5, and he went for surgery in England and he never came home. So
God. Yeah. You're all right. Just take your time with it. God, do you want to talk about it or not?
Oh,
don't worry. You're all right.
Oh, babe.
Yeah, that's grand. That's grand. And obviously your poor ma and dad went through all of that. And
Ma and dad went through an awful lot. awful lot. And that are the two strongest people that I've ever met. And that's where we get our strength from. Mm-hmm. That's where I find I get my strength from. And they would have never let us see the hurt that they went through. And that's where we see the strength in them. You know, Christmas time and birthdays and stuff like that, like you see it and it hurts them. But we're always there. All of us, all the brothers and sisters, we're always there to hold them up as well. But they never let us see them fall. Do you know, they never fall down in front of us. They're great. Isn't
it mad how the people are grieving and they're obviously then just like silently grieving because they have to, because they have other. That's what
my dad would say to us. They had no choice but to hold on, just because this is the other children there too, like that need them. They're amazing, the two of them.
And where do you lie in the family?
I'm the second. So there's my sister Kira, she's the eldest, and then there's me.
Oh, I forget about Kira, I forget about Kira,
She's the quiet one. I'm the wild one. And then there's Paul. And then there was Lauren, Eric, Aaron. So Eric was in the middle of both of the kids, you know, and he went through an awful lot as well. When he was growing up, like he had a surgery on his hips and stuff like that. So he went through an awful lot too. And then he did diabetes and he was sick as a little child. But we all pulled in, even though we were only little nippers running around. We were wiping his arse. He's in two casts now. But and then the rest of them came along then. There was Noel, Casey, Ross, Taylor, Jake, Ellie. Loads. So it was great. Like, it kept us all going.
I'd say it'd be mad in your house, like come Christmas.
The 3-bedroom, we were all squashed together. Jeez. And then I had Jack then 2 years. Jake was 2 and I ended up having Jack then. So it was great. We were all just together. Like, it's just amazing.
And how many children have you got?
I've 2. I've Jack, he's 11, and Rosie, she's 5.
So growing up then, like what was school like for you? What was that like for you?
I hated school. I was real quiet and shy growing up. And I think from what I went through as well, losing my sister and my brother, that affected me. And I was always real quiet and I never would have really mixed as much as the other kids. And I had a lot of friends, but I would have been really, really quiet in school, but in the house I was wild. But secondary school, hated it. Literally hated secondary school. I was bullied from first year right up to 6th year. I don't know how I even lasted in school, but I done it because that's what my mum wanted me to do. Like, I used to go home lunch breaks. I just fucking hated it.
Did you do your junior cert and your leaving cert?
I done my junior cert, and I was absolutely chuffed to because I would have never listened. I wouldn't have, like, I was sat in the class, but I was never like zoned in, or I was just away with the fuck fairies, like all the time. Everything was going through my mind. I was worried about, like, could have been worried about my brother and sister at home. Like, they were always, I mean, they were all younger than me, so I would have nearly mammied them as well, do you know? And I was just never one for learning. I didn't want to learn. I just wanted to be at home helping my ma with the kids, you know.
That's what I was about to ask you. Do you think that you were more concerned about your ma? Yeah,
I always wanted to be at home. Like, my ma used to kick me out the door for school every morning, and I just wanted to be there, staying at home with her. And no, I honestly, truly don't know how I even went back to 5th year. I don't know how I don't know where I got the strength from to go back, because I literally was going through hell and back going to that school every morning. And my friends were great, and like, they picked me up all the time, but like, I wouldn't have let anyone see what I was going through. I held me ground, and I took myself out that door every day, well, with the boot, my mag and me, and I done it for them. I done it for my brothers and sisters, to let them see I have to go out, I have to be strong. Now, my ma wouldn't have known I was getting bullied up till 6th year, until I think I left school, and then I told her.
Did you not just want to give her another problem? You didn't want to burden her with it?
But she would have been at the school every day, probably kicking everyone around. Like, she's mad like that. She's very protective over us as well. Now, don't get me wrong, she doesn't let us away with anything. But if you said anything about us, that's the end of it. She'll finish it.
And you just didn't want to tell her, didn't want?
No, I remember being suspended. I actually fought back in 6th year, and I got suspended for it after being bullied for all that time. And I stood up and I fought back, and I got suspended for it. But
and what would you do now if Rosie was going through that?
With both of them, I told both of them that I was bullied growing up, and Rose wouldn't understand yet because she's at that age. But I would have told Jack from when he was about 7. See, Jack would have been picked on as well because he's very quiet. And I was trying to bait that out of him, but I couldn't. He's just that type of child. And I always teach them, never go out and hit somebody. But if someone hit you, you hit them back twice as hard. And like some people think it's wrong to tell your child to do that, but at this day and age, you have to teach them these things.
And then Jack, how was he in school? How was school for him?
Jack was, I swear to God, I hope his teachers in St. Leonard's Hills is listening to this, because he was a model student from the day he went into that class until he made his communion in St. Leonard's Hills. And he was unbelievable. He got overall student of the whole school when he was just so quiet, he is, and he's still like that today. They absolutely loved him, and I do see the teachers now, and they always ask about him. But even now, he went to a new school, and he moved on to a new school, and like that, he's just an absolute star. And I hope now he'll be going into secondary school now, next year, and I hope to God that he just keeps his head down and gets in and does what he's been doing from the age of 4 since he went into. He's so clever. He's great. Like I just sit down and do the maths with him, and I haven't got a clue. He teaches me. They teach me. Like, but now with Rosie, now with the bullying as well, she's starting to. Kids can be nasty.
Yeah.
Like kids can be very nasty, and I trying to teach her now. Like she says to me, she was out playing, and some kids are a bit older than her, like and stuff, and. She's like, but they're saying this and they're saying that and this and that. And I was like, Rosie, just whatever you do, I said, kids are going to be nasty. You just don't be nasty to them. She's like, but why can I not be? They're nasty to me. I said, because that makes you out then to look the a bad child. But I said, whatever you do, just don't let anyone make an idiot out of you.
Yeah.
Do you know, we are down in a park, and she made a friend in the park as well. And the little one had her running around and I was watching it. Yeah. I said, I hope she cops on, because I always grab her and pick her up on it and say, like, you're letting these kids do this to you, like. And she came over and she said, Ma, she's making a fucking idiot out of me. And she said the words that I had said to her.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what are you going to do about it? And she said, I'm not going to play with her now in the park. So I was like, grand. So I was delighted that she copped on.
Yeah.
Do you know, to it. And I hope that they hold that, because I would have loved when I was growing up for my man to say, these people out there are fucking idiots, don't let anyone make a fool of it. But I remember my nanny saying to me, you don't have a friend. You don't have friends. They're not your friends. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But you know what, she was right. You actually don't have a friend. The only friend you have is your partner and your kids, and that's it.
And your family.
And my family, yeah. Brothers and sisters, they're like my life. But not... Now, I have friends, don't get me wrong, I have good friends, like good ones that I can count on. But ones that I thought was friends weren't friends, do you know?
And your nanny could see through that.
Yeah.
Because it's the worst thing to see your child being used by another child until another friend comes along, or your child being made a fool of.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, with Rosie, now as well with Jack's very quiet. So I always said Jack could be a child that would be bullied. Do you know, so this is why I baited it into them. Like if anyone, even if he's out on his bike around, I say, throw the bike at him and just come back, come on to me. And he's like, give me a gift of me bike. Like, do you know, why should I do that? But now I see with him, like he knows if anyone, he don't get in the wrong crowd. If anyone says and she just come away from them quickly, just get out of there. And with Rosie now, see, like Rosie wears glasses and she has the shunt and she has our illness. So there is going to be kids out there that's going to be nasty to her and they're going to slag her, and because this is what's going on out there in this today.
Kids are cruel. Kids are cruel.
And I told her this, like I said, kids will slag you. They'll slag your shunt, they'll slag your glasses. And you say, yeah, thanks very much, you're beautiful as well. Like every day what I try and put into my kids is kindness. And that's all I want from them, is to be kind to other children. So Rosie went into school every day in creche, and I was called into the teacher pulled me up on it, and she said, like, she's saying the most beautiful things to other kids. Like, a child could walk in and say, Rosie say, your dress is beautiful, your hair is gorgeous, or, do you know, and try and make someone feel better. Now, I know she's only 5 and these are things that you probably shouldn't be teaching kids, but that's what I'm going to do, and that's where I want my kids to be brought up. And like, some kids mightn't say it back, like she said to me, but they never say it back to me. I said, but that's okay. I said, but they probably think they're saying it in the back of their mind, Rosie looks nice today, but some kids won't say it to you. I said, and now when lockdown started as well, do you know, you're only staying within your 5 or 2 kilometres. So I said to Rosie, we are always out walking, and she was always on the scooter. And you saw a lot of people on their own, you know, elderly people out walking and stuff. So I said, you know what we'll do? We say hello to everyone that passes us on the road. So she did. And then this was going on for so long. And now the people, like, you'd still see these people out on the road and they know her by name, or, do you know, and they'd say, like, she, like, it cheered them up, even just that little hello, and it made them smile, do you know, and she's after making a lot of friends, elderly and young, like, throughout this. Like, she's a real confident little child.
And that's everything.
Always nice to give somebody a compliment all the time. Like, Rosie says to me the other day, I was putting my makeup on, but like, why every single day do you have to wear makeup? I'm like, I couldn't even answer. I was like, I couldn't tell the child whether to make me look nicer, because I didn't know whether to say that or not. And I was like, I just like when she goes, but you're pretty, you're without it. I was like, God, I wish I was. Now and never. Little does she know about the filters and all that to be used. Like, we're putting this into the kids to say nice things. And like, we can't even say nice things. I couldn't say a nice thing about myself. Do you know? And I'm trying to put this into them. Do you know? But she'll never know that I can't say these things.
Why can't you say those things about yourself?
I just don't have the confidence. I always would have. To be honest with you, I was always knocked back, and I was always told I wasn't good enough from people when I was growing up. They're not family, but horrible, nasty people out there. So I was told I wasn't good enough. You're ugly, you're this, you're that. Like, so that stuck with me. And like, before I met James, I went through an awful time. Jesus. I won't even say with who, because... And that person took everything out of me that I had, literally everything. Like, even when I got with James, I was afraid to get with somebody else. Like, I had no confidence whatsoever. And like, he would always say to me, you look beautiful. Like, and I'd be like, shut up, you know, don't be telling me I look beautiful, because I'm not. Like, I was told I wasn't beautiful, so that's what I'll just hold in me. I was always told I was stupid. Like, you're no good for nothing, do you know? And that stayed with me, and it took me years. It actually took when I had Rosie. Like, when Rosie when I found out about Rosie's illness, it was a while after that I saw the strength that I had, that I was strong enough then. And I wish I had that years ago, but I didn't. So it took me to have Rosie and to go through what she went through, to see the strength that I had in me, and that I was good enough to be her mother. And I know I am. That's one thing I say about myself. I'm a great mother. And I'll stand with my kids no matter what happens.
Because when we put it out that we were sitting down together, the amount of messages, the amount of things that come in saying, can't wait for this, can't wait for this, can't wait for this. And sitting here talking to you, I understand why. Because like, you're just trying to, you know, breed a kindness into your kids, and, you know, and obviously a strength as well. From the bullying to then that person doing that to you for years, absolutely, that would have ripped you apart.
Took everything, everything I had out of me. Like, I still to this day, I can't trust people. And even with Rosie and Jack's dad, like, and he understands where I'm coming from, but I find it very hard to trust anybody, because that person took that away from me. You know, it was tough going.
And did people, your family, did they see that was happening? Did they try to?
They seen it, and they tried to warn me about it, and I wouldn't listen. I was like that's what, and my ma said we tried our best, but I was fighting against them and saying no, like this is, but even though I was being tortured, but that's all I knew. That's all I thought. I thought this was the norm of being mentally tortured by a person. And it took me 5 years to get away from that. And how I felt like I was crawling away from it, literally crawling. And then I met James, and he literally changed my whole life. He was there, like he was kind. It was just completely different. And I was like, this is mad. Like, is this way people like actually get treated? Do you know, it was crazy.
And can I ask you, like, what kind of things were you being, was this like on a daily, was this in a weekly?
This was on a daily basis.
Were you living with the person?
No, I wasn't living with the person. It was a daily basis. Like I just felt like I couldn't do right from wrong, do you know, with this person. Because you were always, like I'm, do you know what, I've the kindest heart ever. I do anything for anybody, and anyone will tell you that. And I still had that. Even though I was going through that, I was still like, the kindness was still there, and I would have done anything, literally anything in my power for this person. And now I was still kicked to the ground constantly, just being told I was worthless, a worthless piece of shit. And you know what? I swear to God, I hope he's listening to this now, because he lost a fucking good person, the best person ever. Mm-hmm. And I'd say he knows that, and I'd say everyone else knows it. Like, we're going 14 years later, and I still mentally think about that. Like, and I haven't spoke about it. I spoke about it to one person last year, a friend of mine that I met, because I love to write. And when I lost my little brother and sister, I wrote poems, and that was my way of getting that out. And I think if I didn't write the poems, I probably would have had a nervous breakdown, because it was all coming out in the poems. And I met a man called Gary, and we are chatting about it, and I wrote a poem, and he knew. He said, you went through pain from somebody, and because he read the poem. And I said it. I said, like, that was from a person in the past, like 14 years ago, and I was still hurting from what he'd done to me. So it's...
There's so many women in that situation.
Yeah. And my aunt was only, she was killed in Ballybock. Carol, she was killed, and I swore to God that I would never, ever, ever go through anything like that again. Like, that could have been. It could have been.
Was she killed by her partner?
She was killed by her partner, yeah, and his kids. And he's walking the streets like there's no tomorrow. Not about her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, she was the most beautiful lady that you would ever meet. A heart of pure gold, and she did not deserve this, what she went through. But we'll get justice. We will.
Has he been arrested? Has he ever been arrested?
He was arrested, but, you know,
God.
He's just walking freely as to do. And it's horrible. And he lives in Cherry, lives on the roads. But he knows, if he cross my path, I tell you, that I will literally take the man off his feet.
Jesus Christ.
It's horrible.
And as you say, it's lucky, it's not lucky that you didn't end up in that situation. Yeah. And so many women do. We seen the case last week with that poor girl.
It's tough to get out of them. Like, I never ever thought I'd get away from.
How did you get away from him?
I crawled away, literally on my hands and knees, and I crawled away from him.
And who was your first port of call?
Do you know what? I never... My nanny, my ma's man, I always went off to home with my granddad. Now, both of them have passed. My nanny passed when I was pregnant with Jack. And I was so close to her. Really, really close. But I never told her. Like, I never even told my mum and dad what I went through. So they'd be hearing most of it on through here. Like, they would have never known the mentally torture I went through. I'd say they seen it in me. And, like, they were always there. But they never would have dragged that out of me. You know, that kind of way. Mm-hmm. But I always suffered mentally in myself. I was always like very, very depressed.
Do you think that it was because of the loss of your brother and sister, the bullying, that you just expected to be treated like that, or thought that was the norm?
There was always a sadness in me. Like, always, like, I would have cried at a young age in bed every night, like, and that was just because of what I went through growing up. But I love this person, you know, absolutely loved this person. And I think I just got used to being treated like that. And then it was just one day it clicked. And I said, what am I doing? But I was always told I wasn't good enough for anyone else. No one else will have you. So this is what I thought. So I was like, why should I walk away from this one? No one else is going to take me. And then I said, here, I went very bad on the drink. I started drinking heavily, like after. It was only Smirnoff Ice, but it was like 15 bottles a night, to get me asleep. But like I remember I always went to my nanny. I always stayed with my nanny, and I'd sit with her for hours at the kitchen table. But she always made the go away, you know, just sitting there. We talk about, she'd tell me stuff from when I was like years ago, when we used to run around in your nip and all that stuff like this. And I loved listening to her. I would have listened to her and we can have for hours, because it just blocked all that sadness out of me, and I would have just sat with them. But she was there. My nanny, I got with Jack's dad, and then I ended up falling pregnant, and then my nanny suffered very bad with mental health. So she passed away when I was 7 months pregnant on Jack, and I was absolutely devastated, because she was looking forward to it, but you could see her mentally. She was mentally affected, and she just knew she wouldn't have lasted out any longer. And my granddad as well. So he was there. My granddad was great, but he was devastated, you know. And we were trying to hold him up, but he idolised the grandkids, and like she would have loved Rosie. She would have, because Rosie reminds me of my nanny a bit, because because it's just things that she said. My nanny come back and you know, she's real. My nanny was very strong. Both of my nannies were having me picture of my nanny Marie there in front of me. But both of my nannies, the strength that they had, and me ma as well. That's where I got all this from. That's how I'm still sitting here today, where I didn't think I would have been sitting here today. I shouldn't be sitting here today after the thoughts that went through my mind from when I was growing up.
Did you want to take your life?
Like there was times where I thought about it, because I'm like, what am I even doing here? Like, what good am I to anybody, do you know? And there was times, and do you know, I thought about my family and then them, and like imagine putting my mum and dad through that and stuff. And so I'm very lucky to be here now, to be able to tell you the story.
And I'm going to push you just a little bit more, and then we'll move on. The drinking. So how, again, because it's very easy to turn to drink. Paul's off the drink 2 years, and he wasn't even a big drinker. He was vodka Red Bull from start to finish, and he just was like, I need to get off this. I need to get off it. Yeah. So like 15 bottles, look at you, you're tiny little thing, like, do you know what I mean? 15 bottles or 10 bottles Smirnoff Ice.
Now, I would have drank throughout that, what I was going through. Yeah. I would have drank within, like, I probably need to drink every night, to be honest with you, just to blank things out. But then when I crawled away, I swear to God, the man in the off license on the North, they knew me he knew what time I was coming in at. And I was only young, but no one, I just sat on the canal and had the bottles. No one would have known. Like, my mum wouldn't have known that I was drinking or anything. But I remember, this was just before I ended up leaving. So
you said that you'd just drink them and nobody would even know you'd had
drank them. No one would even know I was drinking. I was actually drinking that much that I wasn't even. Then I ended up starting on going getting a naggin, getting a bottle of Club Lemon, and I just poured us up a Club Lemon now, drink it, and it was great. I actually loved it. Yeah. I was 19, 18, 19. Yeah.
And you tell me you'd go and have the nagging, and how long did that go on for?
That went on for 2 months straight. Like, I'd be sitting with my nanny and she'd think I'd be drinking Club Lemon. Like, and I'd be drinking a nagging of vodka. And I'd be gone, like, in 2 minutes. I'd be going back up to get another one. But there was nothing, like, but I blocked everything out. So I thought it was great, like, it was brilliant. And then 2 months that happened for. And I was still being mentally tortured. Still, through the phone, got new numbers, everything. my friends gave me my new number, you know, the whole thing. That's why I wouldn't trust anyone. So then I'm walking down the North Strand after going the Oppo, me and Alana. And Alana was only a tiny little thing. And there we are walking down, let's go down to get 8 bottles of Smirnoff for like a 10 or think was no booze to go on Haven Street. And I heard music in the car, you know, on the North, the 5 lamps. And here I am, all go on. So this fella shouted out the window, hey, I love get your number. And I'm like, what? Running Alana quick. So we were walking down the North, no under the arch, and the car came back around after us. I was like, oh God, Alana, we're going to be dragged into this car. So there's 5 of them in the car. Yeah. Right. And I just said, get your number. I didn't know which one it was. I don't know what. And Alana shouted my number out. Like, out. I said, she's like, John, I don't know how I knew your number. She shouted my number out, and I was like, I'm going to kill you. I'm literally going to kill it. So a few minutes later, I got a text like, what's the story? And I was like, no, I'm not interested. No, Jesus Christ, there's no way. When it's going through bleeding hell and back and you want me to go with you. Yeah. So that went on for 2 weeks. And it was James, like, but he told me his name was David. Fair play to him, he was being wary, like, of this thing from town, like. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not interested, no way. And there was one day I was walking out to my nanny's and I was bored. I was like, what am I going to do? And I said, do you know what? I'll text him and see if he's doing that. So we came down, picked me up at the corner. Couldn't let my nanny see it. She'd be like a plant pot on that window. And we went on a drive and it was like I knew him all my life. Swear to God. And the minute I stepped in, got into the car, he was like, right, I have to tell the trip name's not David, James. Now fair play to him. I was like, what the fuck? I can't trust anyone and he's doing this. But we went on a drive for about an hour and I swear to God, it just changed my whole life. Like the happiness that he brought into my life at that time, it was just unbelievable. But there was still, the pain was still there, but he was taking that away from me. It was unreal. And every single night after that, like there wasn't a break. Like there was never a night where we didn't go on a drive, and we loved it. And then I remember telling me ma, James's car actually got smashed up, the whole shebang, like everything got smashed and over me, obviously moving on and stuff. So ma and dad was great, like they were real supportive. But I remember telling me, ma, I was so nervous, like the age of me. And here she was standing at the kitchen washing the dishes and this may stink. And she obviously knew. Yeah. I was getting dressed at 7 o'clock at night, done up to the hills, soaking in my perfume. And I was like, ma, I have no fella. And she was like, and she turned around, I thought she was going to say, not bleeding. And she said, are you happy? And I said, yeah, I am, you know. And I think she knew. She probably had seen it in me that everything was changing. And I was delighted when my life skipping out the door I was. And because he was like, you're telling your man. Like, and I'm like, you tell your man first.
And come here, during that then, where does the drink go? Did you just stop
drinking?
You just stopped?
I stopped drinking. He brought me, now I don't get me wrong, for the first few weeks I wouldn't eat. He was eating chippers and chips and everything in front of me and I was like, oh my God. I was holding in my farts and all. I was that bad. I was scared. Yeah. I wouldn't, and I'd go home every night and I was leaping with the hunger.
Oh my God.
So I never drank. I just stopped drinking. I think, and then I ended up getting pregnant on Jack like 2 months later after meeting him, and so I didn't drink. Never thought I'd drink around throughout the whole pregnancy.
Isn't it mad how a person can just come into your life
and change
and flick a switch and it's gone?
It was meant to be. Even my nanny idolised James, and he only got a couple of months worth, like, and she said, Jennifer, she said, God sent him. That's all you say, God sent him. And I remember finding out when I was pregnant, I said, Ma's going to split me open to want some money with him. Like, and every single person said it was meant to be. Like, this is crazy. This was meant to be for you. But I was terrified. I didn't know what to, like, I had loads of brothers and sisters, but yeah, I was terrified to look at a newborn my own. Like, but it was the best. I was delighted. Thank God. Only for Alana, and I say to her all the time, thank God she knew my number. Now James was saying now, I should have turned the car around.
And how come he came all the way out into town?
He was going out to the beach, like with all his pals, like bopping it in the car with the music on.
Oh my God.
Wrecking it. I said, like, I just at that time, like on the North Strand, like, and I wouldn't mind where he lives, right? My 2 uncles, God loved him. They're like me. I treat them as me babies. Like now, one of them is 40, the other one's 50, and they went in there at Clover Hill. So I was the only one that visited. So I walked through his estate twice a week for years. And he's like, I was like, where'd you live? He's like, just like Clover Hill. I was like, what? I was only out there. Like, how did I never see it? And to meet him on the North Strand, like, and this was the off license was about to shut, so it was about 9:30. Like, so it was late. It was dark.
Isn't it mad that it just showed that the drink was just, I don't know, because I didn't,
like, I needed a help at that time. I needed somebody to come in at that time to save me, and he did. Like, he came in and he wouldn't even realise how much of an impact he has on me life. It's amazing. And
then tell me, then you have Jack, everything's good?
Everything it was tough. Like, I had only got to meet James, and then, like, his ma had never met me,
right?
So she was finding, like, I found the first time we met the mother, James actually told his ma that I was pregnant, so I had never met her. So I didn't know what to do or what to say, or where have to say. Now, they were really supportive as well with us. It was a shock to them, like, you know.
It'd be a shock to anyone, though. Here's my girlfriend, she's pregnant. Do you know what I mean? It'd be a shock to anyone, you know.
Yeah, like, no, I remember lying on the bed in my ma's house, and I was like, it's my ma and dad was downstairs, and I was terrified to even say it. So my ma was in the toilet. I said, Ma, come here, come here. I was like, Ma, I'm pregnant. She said, yeah, I knew you were. I was like, what? She said, I knew you were. I was like, how did you know? Like, yeah. But you know what? I swear to God, my sister had said to me, we were going to a sunbed.
Yeah.
And this was just before, like, I had told my ma, and she said, Jennifer, I think you're pregnant. I was like, could you ever give it all? I'm not pregnant. And there I am. She's like, don't do the sunbed, please. So I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So we went and got a pregnancy test, and I said, if I do one, will you do one? And we did. The two of us were in my nanny's toilet doing the test, and mine came, and I said, bet yours go and come back that you're pregnant, mine won't. Well, I was gobsmacked. I done about 8 after that, just to be sure. But I said, how did you know? And she said, you're going very cranky. I said, have I never, like, realised any change or nothing, like.
And come here, was that the first grandchild? Was Jack the first grandchild?
That's the first grandchild, yeah. On both sides. Yeah, so you were chuffed.
And who's he like?
He's the image of my brothers.
Is he?
The image. Rosie is the image of her dad. She's nothing of me. And he's he's the image. One of my brothers, Ross, it's like looking at him.
So he was in the house. He's in your house with you in your ma's.
Yeah.
So what was that like with the new baby in the house? It must be very exciting for your mum.
My ma, she was great with kids. It was nothing to her, but like, I remember bringing them home, and my dad and James went to the pub. Like, as they do, this is my ma said this is the norm. So she was like, this is what she does about that baby. And I remember sitting looking at me. He was only 6 pounds. It was tiny. And I was, how am I going to read? Like, what in the name of God do I do with this little thing over there? But I was terrified. Like, I slept with the light on, couldn't sleep for weeks because I was just so afraid of. See, my sister died of cot death as well, and this is what frightened the living daylights out of me. Even with my brothers and sisters, I always used to wish for them just to get past that 4 months. I was like, please God, just get them past that. And then once we were past that, I was really at ease then, because she died at 4 months, and that's why it just frightened me. And I used to sit and I used to look at him, I know, like, just jump up every night and make sure he was breathing and stuff. But I done it 11 years later, and he's still going.
Because as a new mother, it is that, you know, you're kind of just constantly checking, and then if you fall asleep, you jump up out of your sleep, go, how long have I been asleep? I haven't checked on the baby. Yeah. But for you to have what happened with your sister. Yeah,
it was scary.
It must have been a really
terrifying time. With Jack as well, like, so when I was pregnant on Jack, I suffered with a bit of depression. I didn't know what was happening to me. I was at the waking up one morning, and I was like I'm a horrible person, and James was like looking at me and said, what is going on here? I was like, you don't even love me. Like, why are you with me? And stuff like that. So I was seeing a doctor, and I was paying private as well. So I went around he said, I'll book you in. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, God love him. He hadn't got a clue. Like, neither did I. I don't know what was happening. And that was probably the worst I had felt. Like, I would have been down. But at that time, I literally hated myself. I didn't want to be here, like, even though I was pregnant. And so James said, come on, book it into the doctor. And we went in, and like, even in the car, I was crying and all. I was like, you're not coming in with me. You don't even like me, you know. I was saying mad shit. And we got in there, and he's like, right, you're suffering with a bit of depression. I was like, yeah, all right. I suffered with depression all my life. Like, I should know. I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. I feel bad. Like, so he gave me antidepressants.
When you were pregnant?
Well, I was pregnant, and I said, I'm not saying that to me. See, my nanny suffered with mental health as well, and I didn't want to put that on my ma either, so I just took the tablet, took one, and I cried literally solid for like the whole day. I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? I was hiding in the room, and I was like, I'm going to bed, you know, hiding. So my ma found this. My ma's a router as well. You couldn't leave at. She couldn't hide nothing because she finds everything. And I had them on top of the wardrobe, and she was like, who the fuck owns them antidepressants? I was like, they're mine. And like, the doctor, well, she literally ran through. And if she was giving it out to me, you don't ever take your talk and you get out that way. She got pregnant. Now, she went around and ran a riot with the doctor because he shouldn't have gave. Sure, I didn't know.
Yeah, of course.
You weren't allowed to take this or that.
Did you take another tablet or?
I didn't take, no, she threw them in the bin. She said, you are not taking them. And you know what? I sat with them then, and they were like, well, what is wrong with you? And I told them, and I felt much better than myself for just letting out. I was like, he hates me. And they were like, no, he doesn't. I was like, no, he does. He hates me. You hate me. I'm like, I just felt worthless again. And I don't know, I came around then, but I hated being pregnant on Jack.
Did you?
Yeah, I wouldn't come outside the door. Like, I stayed in for most of it, and it was summer. Like, I was pregnant throughout the whole summer, and Jack, he was born in October. And I just hated it.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I felt rotten, you know, in myself. And then when I had him, I remember going into labour. See, my man never told me about like the pain. No one told me about pain. They just said like, it's great, the experience. But my ma said to me, do not take that epidural or whatever you do, and it slows you down. She never took it on the 12, and I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't take it, and I mean, he got bit and slaughtered. Like, it was crazy. But I have to say, the flu, like, I went in at like 8:30 or something, 9 o'clock at night, and he was born at 2:10. So, but I was unbearable. But when they put him on me, I literally got him and threw him. I didn't want this. I was so scared of the child. And I remember James's mum would come to see me, and she'd still say to this day, I looked dreadful. And I remember, even when I look back to pictures, I was awful looking. I just looked so depressed. I didn't look happy for someone having a baby.
But do you think that the fear of your sister and brother were in you throughout that pregnancy? So, do you know what I mean? Like,
when I remember having Jack, and I wouldn't have known what my mum and dad went through, that pain. Now, I felt the pain as a sister to lose a brother, but to lose a child, I never did. And I remember when I had him as well, and that like, no, don't get me wrong, I took him back off the nurse's few minutes. I was like, oh God, the child. And it just instantly, that worry is there. The love, I was like, I never loved anything so much in my whole life. I was like, James, I actually didn't love you, like, because I now want to know what love is. Like, and he's like, what? And that's what I said. How did my ma and dad go through that? Like, lose that child? Like, there was a child only there last week that lost his life, and I said to myself, like, I wouldn't be able. I'd go with my hair. Why is this happening? Like, the poor kids.
And that was, as I said, probably on your mind, in the back of it, throughout your whole pregnancy. That was on your mind, and then that's why in the moment with love comes worry. Yeah.
I never knew what worry was until I actually laid eyes on him. And then, like, I would have always been like, I had your hair all about me, man. You know, she's bleeding out, always giving out, always moaning, worrying about us for nothing. And then when I had it, but you say when you have your own kids, I mean, my used to always say, when you see me have your own, you'll know all about it. And I swear to God, there was no true words what she said.
And even though you were a close family and you were really close to your mum, did it bring you closer? Did you have a better understanding?
Having my own kids did, yeah, it brought me much closer. Like me and my mum be like best friends, and my dad as well. Like my dad is literally my whole life. He's the softest. Like he's real. My ma's real hardy. She can be. So I don't really worry about her as much. But my dad's real soft. Like he's literally just hug him all day, and he's the kindest, most generous man that you'd ever come across. He's brilliant. Like you want for nothing where he is. And he's a hard worker. He's out constantly busting his bollocks to give the kids the best that he can. And he's always been like that. But he'd make them, like they have to earn this as well, you know. Like he sees, like my brother is a brilliant footballer, and so is my sister and my other brothers as well. Then I have a little brother, he's a dancer, he's brilliant. And my dad sees all this, he sees the goodness, he sees and he pushes you to keep thriving and thriving. Like I remember when I started running, I was like, oh no, I'm not running, like, you know, bollocks. My dad was like, but you love it and you're great at running. Like only for my dad as well, he would be my biggest supporter. My dad would. He always wants to know, he always wants to know how he got on, like even before a run or anything, like very best of luck and all, like he always remembers. And them little few words mean so much, like he's so, like you can see how proud he is of me and Rosie. And that's all I ever wanted, was for them to be proud of me. And he even, when he sees Rosie, then we idolise Jack as well. Jack's great with the football. And like he sees the work I put in, and I think that but they showed me this. They showed me how to do this, how to rear a kid. So I hope that they know that I got this from them. Do you know? Growing up, I always thought, like, my mad said I was the worst child for her, right? I don't know why, because now don't get me wrong, I would have been the cheeky one, you know. I'd answer her back and I'd have to get the last word in and stuff, but I never growing up, I always, because I didn't feel good enough, I didn't think now maybe I did do them proud, I don't know. Now they were always like happy and, you know, we love you and we're proud of you, but I never, I'm like, but proud of what? Like, you know, that's what I always got in me. But now when they say it, I'm like, well, I'm proud of myself as well. Because I actually went out there and put everything I had into that. And I done it for you and I done it for my kids, you know. But years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, like, what are you saying? That's me for, don't be proud of me. I don't know. Like, you know, but I can see it now. And I know that they are.
And then tell me about Rosie. Rosie was born and...
Rosie came in... Jack was 7 and me and James had been trying for 3 years, and we miscarried the year before. I was 14 weeks, so he only told me that on Father's Day, and it was like 2 days later then I ended up miscarrying. So we were devastated.
What was that like because it's the worst is it worse? I don't know.
No, I haven't told anyone. Not many people even know about this, so people's going to be listening, but I never told my family now, close family, both sides of the families now. But you know, I never told anyone, even my aunts or Aunt Nana, like, because I was always afraid to say it. Do you know, I was afraid to, because I never told anyone that I was pregnant. So I was like, but why should I tell them about that I'm after losing the baby? I never told them that I was pregnant. Do you know, I just didn't, I never got it out there, you know, and that, I'll never forget that. That literally tore me to sunder. Literally to sunder. Like, it broke me really, really bad, like very bad. I just couldn't get, I remember going into the hospital, I had a little bleed and they were like, right, it was like it was norm to them, and I know it is, but to me it wasn't. And I'll never forget the words, like, oh, you had a miscarriage, like, and that's it. Like, and that's gone, like where's the baby? Like, you know, and nothing flushed, so I had to get a D&C and I had to go on for a month. So this was all still inside for a whole month, and then I had to obviously get flushed out, and obviously mental torture, and you know what? Even when I hear, because I went through it, and if someone says it, like my heart actually breaks for a person that says it, that goes through that, because it's a horrible experience to go through.
You just said something that's like I never thought of. That if you haven't told them you're pregnant, how can you tell them you've had a miscarriage? And that must be the most difficult thing.
Yeah. I tried to hold it and hide it, the pregnancy. See, what I was trying, like when I found out I was pregnant, I said to James, right, we'll hold it, and because I believe in all this, if you tell people it's bad luck and do you know stuff, and this was all I thought about was like, oh God, no, if I tell someone something bad might happen, and like I would have loved him to tell me family, you know, tell me, because I'd be really close to all my aunties, Alana's mum and stuff, and I never did. I never told that, and then I remember my sister and then my mum and my sister and when I lost the baby, and they were like real close, but then I was like, right, don't tell anyone that I was pregnant or lost the baby. So they don't even know. Like they wouldn't even know, and they would have rallied around me and they would have held me up. But I just felt terrible for not telling them, you know, and then putting this on them then, a shocker, you know. And I said, no, I just couldn't. But like both of us, me and James, we were like tortured from, because we never experienced anything like that before. We were looking, and it was because it was 14 weeks, like we found out from early days, and then it was like you fell in love already, like with this little thing. And like I remember, I still have the little vest that I got from my dad on Father's Day, with baby, you know, grandchild number 2 on it, and he was delighted. But even like that, like I was like nearly 14 weeks telling me man that is man the chair, wow, like because I was afraid to tell them that I was even pregnant. And then do you know what killed me? Telling them and then having to tell them that I lost the baby. That killed me, having to do that, like this hype of a new little baby coming in, and then I'm sorry that the baby's gone, like, and I constantly blamed myself. Like, did I bend over too hard? Did I smoke too many smokes? Like, what did I do wrong? Did I deserve this from what I went through? Do you know, you constantly on the back of your mind, it's your fault and no one else's but mine. That's all I thought. But my family were really, really supportive, very supportive. And then like I just wanted to be pregnant again. And I was getting obsessed, and I kept doing pregnancy tests after pregnancy tests constantly. My wardrobe was full of them. Like the money I was spending on this, and it was mentally getting to me then. Like it was just an obsession. And I was like, right, I need to pull back. I kept reading up on it, and I booked in with the Rotunda because I thought then I couldn't have kids. And then we flew away to Manchester, me, James and Jack, for a match. And it was a great weekend. It was just so relaxing, no worry, no this. Didn't even think about it once. And then a few weeks later, when I was pregnant, and we were chuffed, literally. But with that fear and that worry as well, I didn't tell anyone until I got past that. Didn't tell my mum and dad. And then I was actually 4.5 months, and my little stomach was starting to come out, right? But no one noticed, like no one at all. Now, his man knew because we were there in their house, like, and she was great, like looking after us and all. But I never told my mum and dad because, do you know what, I was actually afraid to tell them again. I wanted to get past that stage. And I remember going into the house. Now I was like, this was 5 years ago, like I'm 42 now, like, and I was shaking. Literally, I was up and down. I don't know how they didn't cop on. The two of them was getting ready to go and do the shopping. And I said, right, if I don't tell them now, I'm never going to tell them. And I was like, I'll have to tell you something. And like, two of them just looked at me. But you could see, I'll never forget looking at my dad's face, to smile. He knew what I was going to say before I even said it. And he was chuffed. But see that worry then, it was over them. But I said, I'm past that stage. And they were like, you what? Yeah. And then I lifted up my top. I was like, the bump is out and all. But I just didn't want to hurt them again, to do that, to tell them that news again. Because you think it's going to happen again. It's always on the back of your mind. Like, I'd be afraid to get pregnant now just so I don't have to go through that again. And especially what I went through with Rosie, I'd be terrified if something like that came back at me. Again, I wouldn't be able to handle.
You would. You would. Tell me about Rosie.
So Rosie came along. We never found out what we were having.
Really?
So everything was cream. The farm was cream. Everything was just cream. And I wanted to keep it. But I was convinced I was having a boy. I was so neat. Do you know the boys that's just so neat? And I was like, lovely, 2 little boys. Because I was like, oh, Jack was literally just the best. And I was like, right, another one of him be perfect, right? And so Rosie decided to come in a week early. And like, it was my brother's 24th in the Laguna. Oh, and I was like, my water just broke. Jack was gone to Wexford with his auntie for the weekend. His me and James grand chill weekends. But it was the next morning, my water was broke. I said, oh my God, but my water was never broken. And Jack said, you know what was happening? I was like, what's pissing in the bed? He was slipping and sliding all over the place. So I rang the hospital and they're like, bring that in straight away. But wasn't I after having a shower I thought would never blow dry my hair. So I was up in a bone, curls and I was waiting till I was going to labour to get my eyebrows waxed. So I was like, I'm not going in. There's no way I'm not. So I went in and they said, no, we'll induce it in the morning. And I said, but can I go home? Like, I have to get my eyebrows waxed. There's no way I'm going to labour without getting my eyebrows waxed. And they're like, no, because in case of an infection. So I was like, grand. So I'm looking at James. We had the bags ready and stuff. So I said, go home and get the bags. Like, so they brought me up onto a ward. And do you ever just know by the child that's very rude, it's just going to cause you a lot of trouble? Do you ever just get, I had that feeling. Yeah. I was like, this child's just causing me trouble already. It's not even here yet. So I'm lined up to get me dinner. A bit of broccoli and a bit of fucking thing. It was gorgeous, right? Yeah. And I'm lying in the bed with my stomach. I said, oh my God, I think I'm about to get taking a reaction to that. I was rolling the bed because I knew, I said, I'm not in labour because I'm not going to tomorrow. Like. And like they're looking at me and they brought the machines over and there was nothing coming up on the machines that there was contractions. Yeah. So I remember looking and seeing James and his sister out on the corridor and I'm rolling the bed, the sweats and everything. Oh, you're going to kill us all. And they were like, no, she's not in labour. So they were just wandering up and down to get me the bit of the gas. They're like, just suck on that. Like, they didn't know what was going on. They handed me gas. So I said to his sister, I need to go to the toilet. I was at the stop and I was at the pain stop. She come on, I've been in the toilet. So I'm sitting on the toilet and the pain. Like, got her, I bit the whole shoulder and all off her, right? And she was like, no, it's just something. She's in labour, like. And they checked me and I was like 7 centimetres. I was like, what the fuck? So they rushed me straight into the labour ward. And my ma like that again, if you take that epidural, I'll kill you, right? So I said, James, will you ring on and ask her, can I take it, please? I couldn't stick the pain. I said, James, I beg you. So she's in the lagoon having a ball. Now, no one knew. I didn't even tell anyone I was going to labour because I hate that when everyone's ringing me. I'm there. So we rang her. And he said, Debbie, she's in labour, like, can she take the epidural? I'm telling her, I'll never speak to her again if she takes that. But I couldn't. This pain was worse than what I had on Jack. I said, I can't, James. I said, give me it. He said, this is your last chance. You take it now or you'll never be able to get it. He said, now you're going to be days and days. My mum said, if you take that. So he gave it to me and I'm telling you, I'd tell any mother, woman that's going into labour, take it the minute they offer to you because it was the best thing in the world. I'm sitting there on Facebook and they're telling me I had to push. I said, what? I can't feel it.
Isn't it gas that even what hold you're in your 20s and you're ringing your ma to see if you can.
She was annoyed about it. She was fuming. So we were having her and we're obviously trying to push her out. And she was like, do you know what you're having? I was like, no, like it's a surprise. So she came out, right? But James is leaning over my head. I don't know what he was doing, but he was just crying like. And I said, oh my God, another boy, the lion. And she was like, yes, another boy. And I remember the midwife, she was at the bottom and she just looked. She's like, no, it's a girl. Well, the two of us were like, it was the best feeling that I ever got. Like to know I had a son and a daughter. I was like, what? And like I always would have loved the girl, but I didn't because I was convinced I was having another boy. And I said, right, trouble. That's this trouble. And so we held her and then they whipped her off me. I was like, what's wrong with? They said she was too cold or something. And I was that upset. I couldn't move my legs. And I said, why don't I take the epidural? I can't even go after her. I was sending him out to watch the girl. I was like, run after the child. So they brought her back. But the midwife like that we had, I'll never forget her. She was literally hugging at Rosie like as if she was our own, you know, that kind of way. But here I was, why is she doing that to her? Like, does she know something? Like, that was, I mean, that's what the thought I got. I was like, does she, like, think is there something wrong with the child? Like, but the way she was, it was like it was whole baby. And I'm looking like saying, that's my fucking baby. Like, give me her over here. I want to hug her myself. Like. So we were in the hospital. We stayed in the hospital for, we actually had to stay an extra night because of Rosie. She was too cold. And sure, I had the window. We were beside the window. I had the window swinging out. I was going to wonder if I'd freeze.
You just don't think.
I was sweating. So they checked her over and everything was grand and stuff. And they were like, right, you can go home. But I got an awful, like, I remember sitting on the bed and an awful darkness over me saying, do I want to go home? Do I want to bring this baby home? Like, it's a horrible feeling. And then, like, I actually started to cry, but I was holding it in, you know, so if no one had seen me. And then this woman came around and she was like, now, if you feel like any sadness or things like that, and I just sat there and said, Anna, I'm grand. Because, and I should have, like, I was literally just wanted to burst. I was so afraid of going home again, even though I had a child at home. And so we brought her home then, and it was great. Like, we literally idolised her. She was a great baby. All she done was slept. And we were like, this is amazing. Like, how are we blessed with this? So Rosie was then, she was 4.5 months, 4 months she was. But she never cried. And she never, like, I just, see, Jack was 7, so 7 years before I had, like, and I was like, I forgot everything.
Yeah, you do.
And I was like, this is normal. You know, she used to sleep all day and all. Like she'd drink the bottle and, like, sometimes she wouldn't even drink the bottle. And I was like, oh, this is grand and whatever. So we were in my ma's and it was the end of November and I started to wean her. And there was just no, like, she wasn't eating, like, there was no, like, it was like she just didn't want it, you know. But it's where with her, like, she was a real, I used to call her a lazy baby.
Yeah.
So she felt lazy, you know, she's just slobbing and lying there all the time. She never lifted her arms up or tried to even lift her arms and stuff. But I never thought of it. Like, I was like, this is just normal. So she ended up getting sick. And I was like, it was all like rain and stuff. And I was like, oh, it must be because I started weaning her. But she was like floppy and she went pale, grey, like, I said, what the fuck is wrong? So we flew to Crumlin Hospital with her. And Jack had never been in a hospital, never had an overnight stay in a hospital. So I didn't know what. I didn't even know what to say. Like, when I went into A&E, I was like, what the fuck? Like, and I just said, like, she's sick and whatever. So they brought us in, they had us in a room. I was actually late then. It was about like 8:30, 9. And I was like, I'll go home. I had nothing. Like, we weren't expecting them to be like, no, we'll keep her in. Like, she kept getting sick all the time, just vomiting. And I was like, why is she? I said, she must have a bug or whatever. So I had no sleep. I never ever had a night like that. See, I never even knew what sleep deprived was until that next morning. I remember James's mom comes to me with a roll, and it was like when she was talking to me, I could see her lips moving, but I couldn't hear nothing. It was weird. So a doctor came in and they were measuring Rosie's head. And I was like, what are you doing measuring her head? Like, and they were like, did you see her head is very big? And I was like, no, her brother has a big head as well. Do you know, I was joking about it. And they're like, we'll just bring her for a scan. Now, I have to say, the way they spoke to me, I would have never thought. And I was like, grand, yeah. Like, I don't mind if she has to get a scan and stuff like that. So we were still there all that day. Like, it was the evening then, still no sleep. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And James was in and out of the hospital, like, with us. So we took her for the scan. And I remember, like, we had her lying down on the bed. And I never went through one like that, you know, with Jack around. So I was getting a little bit upset, and I was like, the poor child, like, do you know what I mean? Has to just lie still, and it's only a baby, like. And the woman was there, she was there for ages. It felt like ages. She was scanning her head. So she was like, that's grand, that's fine. Like, but you ever get when someone looks at you with pee? Do you know, I got that. I got that awful. Like, she was like, when we walked in, she was like, yeah, just put her up there, blah blah. And then all of a sudden, she was. Like, she was so nice to me. And I was like, she feels sorry for me, do you know, like, is she feeling sorry because I'm in the hospital or like, but I never thought of anything being wrong with Rosie's head. Like, now Rosie's head was big, but I would have never, because she was my child, I looked at her every day. I never thought there was anything wrong. So they brought us up onto a ward, and I was like, a ward? What are we going to the ward for? Because she was still getting sick. They were like, no, she's still getting sick and stuff, so we're going to keep it in. And I remember saying we were brought up in Crumlin Hospital, what was the name of the ward? Oh, the girls were beautiful up there. But I remember just saying to one of them, I like fell against the wall. It was like 9:30, so this was going on 2 days. Like, I was like, I said, I just feel weird. I said, I haven't like had any sleep. I wasn't eating. And the girl, her name was Amy, the nurse, and she was beautiful. And she said, right, listen, get into, there was like a pull-out thing bed and stuff, and she was like lying there. I was like, mate, go sleep. That's what with the child. Like. She's like, no, we'll keep an eye on it. And I think I slept for like an hour, and it was the best sleep I ever had. So we are there still. That was on the Wednesday. So remember, it was the Thursday. It was the 4th of December then, the Thursday. And James was like, I'll come up to you. And I was like, no, it's grand. Like, she started perking up a bit. He was like, no, I'll come up to you. And I was like, no, Jack had this thing and he played for sheriff. Right. And I was like, don't at the time. I said, there's too much. The child didn't even know where we were. Yeah. So I'd say he was like, where's my man? Like, and my sister, like, so, so she perked up and stuff. So it was about 4 o'clock. And I said, I'd say we'd be going home today. So I seen the nurse and 2 nurses and the doctor coming into the room. It was like the mafia coming through the door. Like, I just like, I think you're coming in now, telling me I'm going home, lovely. And Rosie's sitting on my lap and I goes, lovely Rosie, we're going home. Now Tom's at home with her baby. She's the only one I had to talk to my legs. And they stood, I was sitting on a chair and they 3 of them stood in front of me. And the doctor said, do you want to hand the baby over to the nurse? And I was like, no, why would I hand the baby over? Are we going home? Like, and she's like, oh, no, you will not be going home. She said, we found something in the scan. And I was like, what do you mean you found something? Now I was sitting there on my own with a baby on my lap. I said, what do you mean you found something in the scan? And you're like, I'm sorry to tell you, your daughter has hydrocephalus. And it's a massive fluid spilled up on the brain and it could kill her. So I got Rosie and I threw her at the nurse. With fright, I was screaming, I was crying. I was like, what? I went numb as well. And then I pulled Rosie back. I was holding on. I was like, you're not taking my baby out, mate. You're not taking her away. Like, so I remember just sitting on the chair and I had Rosie in my arms and I was holding her, but I was shaking and crying. And then I was like, is this actually real? Do you ever just get a shock? And yeah, like, it was like someone had died, and that feeling, you know, that shock feeling. And like the 3 of them are standing there talking, and I couldn't tell you what they said because I still can't remember to this day. And like the nurse tried to take her, I remember, to off me, and I was like, no, she's fine. And they just walked out of the room. They walked out. So there was a girl next to me, Elaine. I hope she listens to this because she got me through that evening. And I was sitting there. Now Elaine, God love her, was in her room, and I was sitting there, and a whole hour passed. A whole hour of me still on that chair with Rosie on my lap. And I remember just cradling her, you know. Like, I wasn't even crying around. I was just numb. I just didn't know what. I had my phone as well in my hand. And I was like, who am I going, like, who do I ring? What do I say? Like, what is that word that they just told me? I couldn't even pronounce it. And I didn't know. And then I was like, right, James is probably like going to ring me. I can't tell. Like, what do I say? Like, so do you ever feel like I felt like I've so much support, but I felt like I had nobody, you know, in that time. And so James's sister, she's real strong. And I knew that she'd be able to hold herself up and she'd be able to get the word out. So like when I rang her, I was just like, how are you? No, I didn't ring her. I actually sent that a text message because I couldn't. Sent that text message. I couldn't say it. So she rang me and she's real calm like that. She said, Jennifer, okay, it's fine. Like, just tell me what they said. And I said, like, they said there's something wrong with her head. Like, I don't even know what they were talking about. So Adele went and got her mum and stuff, and I said, like, James is in training. And I said, like, what am I going to do? Well, I wouldn't ring a person and tell them these things. Like, so they flew up to the hospital, and Adele is great like that. Like, she got everything out, all the stuff that she needed to get out of them doctors. She got, and we Googled it, and I think she told me to stay off Google. So she was great like that, and she went to told James and rang my family and stuff. So. But it was heartbreaking. Like I remember them all coming up then, like everybody just came out at the cracks of the walls. And I went downstairs for a smoke. And I said to myself, like, my child is dying. Like, the child is going to die. Like, I didn't want anyone to be there. I didn't want anyone around me because I didn't want to believe that this was happening, you know. And so they all obviously had to go. They had to leave, like, and I was there.
Tissue there.
Thanks. I was there on my own. So I remember like just lying on the bed, there was a pull out thing, and I kept looking at her, and we had like a bell, you know, to ring, and I rang the bell, and the nurse came in. But everything just, I was so frightened that if she shut her eyes, that she wasn't going to wake up. And I remember ringing the bell. I was like, no, she's not opening her eyes properly and stuff like that. And they were like, no, she's okay. Like, she's fine. Like, they had it on the machines and stuff, so they knew what was going on. But I didn't sleep a wink all that night. Like, I hadn't slept for weeks after, actually. And like, people were ringing me, and the priest, like from Shadow Street, was like, I said a prayer in the church, and I was like, why? Like, why are you saying prayers? Like, I don't want any of this. Like, and like, James was great. He was real strong for me. Like, and he's not always the one. He's the one that breaks. Like, and they kept on the neurosurgeon. Just the only people that can look after us is the neurosurgeon in Templetree. So what they had to do then was shift her over to Templetree. But he came and visited us in Crumlin to see her. And I had everything wrote down, you know, questions that I had to ask him. I was so nervous. Well, he walked into the room, and I'll never forget, and he goes, I know, she's got to be grand. They were his words, right? And me and James looked at each other, and I was like, sorry? He was like, she's fine. Like, look, her, she's great for him. The child was rigged up to wires, the fucking thing, into like Crumlin Hospital. For what they said to me, the doctor, she was shocked what he said about her being fine. And I was like, but what do you mean? Like, I was real quiet and shy, and I was never one to speak out or ask questions. Like, I just went along with the person and said, okay, that's fine. So he was like, right, do you know what we'll do? We'll like, the fluid was building up in her head. So that was damaging her brain as that was building up. So this was December. And he said, right, I'll give it till the 28th of January. We'll see how the fluid builds up to them, right? I was like, so they let us home for Christmas. The child was lifeless, like over the whole of Christmas. Like, the child was so sick. And but see, with me as well, the only thing that I regret was not speaking up for Rosie and not fighting in her corner when I should have been fighting at that time. Like, the child was dying in front of my eyes, like, and I never spoke up, like. And I remember in January, it was the start of January, and I marched in. I said, I have to be not in. Like, I brought July in, and he came around to the neurosurgeon, and he was like, well, I don't feel like she's ready yet for surgery. We'll just wait and see. Like, why would you put your child through a brain surgery if you don't know? I said, the child, like, her eyes were swollen because the fluid was building up that bad. So he said, right, we'll give it another few days then. Like, there was nothing left of her. There was no feeding her. There was nothing. She was lifeless. There was nothing. So I went in on the 16th of January with her, and I said, please, I said, I'm begging. I literally cried to them. He's like, for what he does, he's great, but he's the most ignorant man I've ever met. No
bedside manner.
Yeah. Like, and he doesn't, like, he was so rude to me, like, and my heart was literally shattering into a million pieces. So it was my birthday then on the 17th, and they kept us in on the 16th. So she was booked in for surgery on the day of my birthday. And I was like, what a way to celebrate your birthday, Rosie. Thanks very much. Like, but I remember that morning, you have to, like, she was ready in her little gown. Now I have all the little gowns now, like, and she was ready, but she was only a little thing, like, she didn't know what was going on, like, and because she was so small, someone had to go with her. And see, which was in Crumlin Hospital, I went in for a MRI with her, and I swore I'd never do it again. They had to lift me out of the room. And I think it was the noise of the machines or something that just scared me. And so James said, right, I'll go with her. And I was like, oh God, will it be all right? And we had to go with her, like, go down to the operating table while she was getting put asleep. He came back in an awful state. But I was grand. I was like, she's fine. She's going to be grand. Like, and like, he was like, no, Jenny, you didn't say it. Like, she was going to sleep and all this. And like, it was, when the operation she went for, it was either she's going to come out or she's not going to come out. But we didn't prepare ourselves for that. we said she's going to be fine. And that's what we were told by all family members. Like, she's going to be grand. Like, and so we kept that with us. And like, we were on a ward with kids that had that was at the Hammond days. Now, there was like 6 of them, but they were like 7 and 8 and, you know, a bit older. And today, these are Rosie's good friends. Like, so she came back and they put her in my arms. They wheeled her back in the bed and they put her in my arms, and they said it was great. It was successful. Like, the surgery wasn't, we were chuffed. But then when I lifted her up, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. Rosie was bald. Like, her hair wasn't even grown because the pressure of her hair wouldn't grow up. She was pure baldy. And I just lifted her. I could like feel the drip of the blood and stuff all on my arm, you know, and James was hysterical. God love him. Like, every time I looked at him, I was like, she's fine, just stop. And I remember lifting her up and she was slit from here right down, from the top of her head to the bottom on one side, and then you could just see this thing sticking out, you know, but it was under the skin, and then the tube was coming under the skin right down. And I looked at her and I said, here, I can't. And the child was hysterical. I couldn't even lift her up. Like, I was like, what is that happening here? Like, this is just crazy. So she was in a lot of pain, an awful lot of pain. They kept giving her medicines and stuff that she needed. But the funny thing about it, I couldn't believe it, when you have brain surgery, you're only staying for 2 days. You have to go home and stay at home like for weeks to recover, because they need the beds. Like, I was like, 2 days, like, the child is having major surgery, like, and he's sending me home. Like, me and James, God love us, hadn't got an iota what was going on. So I remember bringing Jack up to collect her. James come up with Jack. Now, poor Jack, he was I don't really want to say much about what Jack went through either, because I don't think he'd want me to, but Jack suffered the most in all of this, where we never thought he would. Like, Jack was, I remember leaving Jack to school on the day that Rosie got sick, and I said, I'll be back for you to collect you from school, and I never come back. 2 weeks later, I never come back to the school. So that affected him really bad. And he always got that fear, my mom's not going to come back for me to the school. So he came up to see his sister. We didn't think anything of it. We didn't think like this will frighten him or nothing. We just said, like, your sister got her surgery. We told him all about what was going on. And he was at the side of the bed, but Rosie, whichever way she turned, he saw her head, and he screamed hysterically, crying, because he was at the scene where she was slit and stuff. And that for months on, like, that affected him. Months he was in a really, really dark place. And with them Rosie being sick, and then with Jack being like that, it was tough. Like, I literally cried myself to sleep every single night and said, what a fucking useful mother am I, like, put my kids through this. Like, I thought it was all my fault, like, for doing this, you know. Or eventually, months later, like, we eventually just start getting, Rosie's really sick at home. She wouldn't sleep or anything, you know, like, we didn't get a wink of sleep. Well, when they said, like, she might sleep better, I said, she won't sleep any better. She was a great sleeper. Mm-hmm. But the effects to the fluid build-up is sleeping too much, getting sick, seizures, you know, stuff like that. So they put the shunt in, but she started to, it was like, she wouldn't sleep, but she used to scream and scream and scream because she'd constant headaches. Mm. But they never told us this is, like, I had to Google, sit for hours and hours every night, and James like, will you get off that phone, please, and stop Googling all this stuff. But no one else would tell me. They wouldn't tell me nothing. So I said, it's up to me to find out this stuff. And I could tell you the ins and outs of everything because I'd done that much research on it. So then it was in the May then, and I had noticed Rosie. What? Like, she didn't show any signs. No signs. But I noticed her left eye was twitching a bit. No, turning, a tiny little single bit. I was like, right, I'm not really happy with that eye. Everything about Rosie then, I was obsessed with her. Like, I was watching every single thing. Like, every day I had to measure her head to make sure the fluid wasn't building up. So there was no signs of the build up. So I was like, right, there's something with the eye. So I remember bringing her through. I rang the nurse, and now I hounded them. Like, I got this strength from somewhere. I don't know where it came out of. I was like, right, our left eye, like, is that all right if I take her in? I started, like, getting brave, and I like, And I'd say they were like, who the hell is this? Who does she think she is? And they were like, bring her in, you know, we'll have a look. No, grand, nothing wrong with her. And I was like, all right. I left it. I said, that's fine. But I knew, I had an awful feeling something wasn't right. So I kept bring that in. And like, he made me cry. He was like, no, it's you. You're the problem here. There's nothing wrong with the child. Like, so then I was like, oh my God, I am a freak of a mother. I'm one of these mothers that's just obsessed. Like, so and then I tried to come away from it because James even said, Jen, you're going a bit OTT now. There's nothing wrong with it. I said, I'm telling you, there is. I used to lie in bed awake every night and I knew, like I said, there is, and people are telling me there's not. So then, because they were saying there's not, then I started to believe it, right? There's not, and I'm just this weird of a mother that just thinks there's something wrong with her child. So then she started showing signs. The fluid, the build-up was starting it was about a week later, and I think she went up a centimetre, she went up a little tiny bit or something. I was like, right, that's it, back in. And he was like, but her head has to grow. I was like, so no, I said, her head is not to grow like within a week. I said, it hasn't grown in months. I knew you were telling me to go in a week. So I said, I want to scan. No, he sent me home again. Right, I was just in and out. And it set me so much. Like, it was horrible to be constantly just put down. And I was like
history repeating itself.
Yeah, I said, I need to find the strength from somewhere. I need to, like, what my problem was, I was afraid to speak out in case I said something that wasn't right. Now, and here I was right, I may be wrong. Like, I might be wrong, but what if I'm not? So I went back in again, and they were just getting sick of me at this stage. So they brought her for a scan. And he came himself. I was actually shocked because he normally sent someone else. And he said, you all right? You all right? And you caught that. He said, we're literally early days. He said, you caught that. And he said, from one little thing. Now, they were worried then about me because the way I was with her then. Like, and so was family, like, because I was literally on the ball, like watching for these things. But at that time, it was like I was pushing Jack. Jack couldn't see Jack because this was Rosie. Like, Rosie was sick and she needed me. So I remember saying to him, I swear to God, I was standing on the landing in the hospital and I said, I was right. You knew I was right. I said, you made me feel like an protective mother. And like, he basically was saying, well, you are, like, you know, but I remember getting really upset. But from that day, that man has been so nice to me. From that day, and I said, you know what? It takes to speak up and tell, like, to talk back to somebody for them to actually see that this was really going on. So she had more surgery again. God love her. Her scar wasn't even healed and she was getting cut open again. So she was what? That was the July. So she was a couple of months. She was a year. Yeah, she was a year. The July. And then, like, Rosie's legs and all were very floppy, so she wasn't really doing much. And they never told me up to then that Rosie never walked. Now, I knew kids that had spina bifida and hydrocephalus, and Rosie's pal Hannah, and she was in a wheelchair and stuff. And I remember going to physio with her in Templetree, and she was only a little tot, like. I was sitting there in the carpet and no on the mat, and like, it was my first time to ever take the child to these things. So I hate that knowing you're unknown to these. And the woman that we had was very, very rude. I swear to God, I'd love to go up there with the Templetree and woolly the head over. Really? I swear to God, she was like, it was like, right, Rosie, now, child's only like a little thing. Now, I had her, she still wasn't able to sit up, so I had her holding between my legs. And I said something, you know, like, as a mother, like, I said something like, I could have been like, oh, I can't wait to chat walking or something, or, you know, it was something, the smallest comment ever. And she goes, well, you know, your child will never walk. And I was like, sorry? And I'll never, like, the physio was still going on and the hurt. I was trying, like, she stayed doing the physio and I'm there just lost in this. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what did she just say to me? So I got out of physio and I just let out the biggest cry. I thought, out of here, I'd never ever get. I said, I never want to look at that woman ever again. And he never brought me back to her because I tell you, I nearly burned the hospital to the ground after what she'd done to me. So I remember ringing James, and James like, no, that's not right. Like, the child she will be able to walk. Will you stop it? So then I got onto the neurosurgeon and Michelle, I said, I want to go in and see us. And I said, you tell me, please. Because they were telling me bit by bit. Do you know, say if Rosie like showed a sign, oh yeah, this is another sign. Or it was gradually going on. There was nothing like, we're looking for this, do this. And I went in and they said, well, she might not be able to walk. I said, well, why didn't you tell me these things? Because we don't know that yet. Like, we have to wait and see. Like, I said, well, I was just told that she won't. Well, they said, from her point of view, she'll never live a normal life. That's what they said. No, she was just real flop still at that time. And that was it. That was the end of me. Literally the end of me. And it took me, it's like I went blank from them months, because I can't really remember. I remember having to tell the family, like, but they didn't say, like, they were like, and we'll be there for you. Like, and this is things that we'll do together and we'll help you. And I was like, no, my child will be walking. Like, no. And I always had it in the back of my mind. Like, it was there and the hope was there. Like, we looked at wheelchairs and stuff like that, me and James together. It was heartbreaking. But it was like we were getting used to it, but still to me, I was like, no, like, she's going to walk, I'm telling you. But I never said it out loud, because then I was like, if I say it out loud, then they were saying she's losing the plot, like Oscar. So Rosie was nearly 2. She was saying Mama, Dada. Like, this was going on months later. She said she never walked, talk, or live a normal life. She was saying Mama, Dada. And then she started to come around, and she went on and had more surgery again, because the shunt blocked, and like that we had to fight for them to see.
So what is the shunt? What is that?
The shunt is it's a tube. It's sitting in Rosie's brain.
Right.
And there's a tube coming down into her neck, straight into her stomach. And then that drains all the fluid from her brain. Now, they're not great. Like, she's already had to have 4 of them in 5 years. And like, the more surgery she has, that at the brain, do you know, and it can affect her. Like, maybe, like, this is what I'm thinking. Like, maybe later down the line, we don't know. Tomorrow Rosie probably say, can't walk. But today, it's not that day. We're not going to let her give up. Do you know, later on in life, if they constantly at her and at her brain, maybe it will affect her, but it's not affecting her now, and she won't know that. We're not going to let her know that this is what's going to may or may not happen. Maybe it won't. Do you know, so I'm not going to tell a child that you might not walk when you're older, like. But she went and had more surgery. She was getting stronger and stronger. Like, she was a little fighter. She was coming out of the surgeries laughing. Like, I remember bringing her in it was James's birthday, God love him. She's taking her off all her birthdays. And I walked her into A&E. I was at the checking our pupils in the house. I don't know what made me do it. And I was like, I don't know what people's figuring into her. Like, straight into A&E. His house, they're going, like, you're going to be putting to joy. Them kids. And I said to the neurosurgeon that she's when I wasn't there. So there was another fella on. He was a young man. And he was only new, and he worked for Dr. Crimmins. And he said, right, we bring her for a scan. He was lovely. He was real on the ball. There was none of this like, oh no, she's fine. Or brought her for a scan. And James got up and walked out of the hospital, because he said, you're making a show of us. Like, you're wasting these people's time, right? And I said, go on then. And he went down to me ma. And he said with me master, calling me unhuman names, saying, she's sick. She's feeling like you want to the hospital again. Like, there's something wrong with her. So he came over to me and he said, right, your daughter needs an emergency operation right now. And even though I knew, I went, what? So I remember I rang James. No, he says to me, yeah, he sat there with me and he was the nicest. He's like, yeah, okay. And I was like, I'm fine. I said, like, I am. And I was actually getting stronger with it. It was like, it breaks me heart that she has to keep going through this, but the fight that I have to put up with for them to see, which I didn't on that day, I said, it's crazy. I said, why are these not working? So what they wanted to do, he says to me, what we're going to do now is remove the shunt and we're going to drill holes in Rosie's brain for the fluids. They wanted to come from the top of the head into the back of her head. It was like holes to drill, and take the shunt away. And, this will work like this. And I said, like, has it worked? Well, not really. Like, sometimes it doesn't work. I said, well, no, we keep in the shunt, because I had heard about it. And the one thing as well that put me off that is Rosie would have been slit from the whole top of her head right round. And like, even though it might have helped, but I wasn't letting her, she was that bit older, and I wasn't not taking her home to her brother looking like that either. And I know some kids have to do it, but I took that choice to not put my child through that. So I rang James and I said, the shunt is blocked. And he went, I silence. And he cried and cried and cried. And he says to me, Ma, like, she's always right. Like, how is she right? He's like, Debbie, and he felt terrible for not believing in me. Because I felt like I was losing me marbles. I really did. So I can only imagine what the rest of them were saying about me. But he was like, my ma said to me, she held him like a baby. And he just kept saying, Debbie, how does she know these things? My ma said, it's a mother's instinct. Every mother knows her own child. He said, but how? Like, it's crazy. So it was James's birthday, God love him then. They brought her for surgery first thing the next morning. And she skipped down to surgery. Like, they were like, no, this couldn't be happening. Like, they even said in the hospital, what was it they said about her? She's a child. She never showed the signs. Like, she was just incredible. She was just skipping. She skipped in and to A&E. Like looking at anyone else, if you looked at Rosie, you'd say, no way. There's no way. Like, that child's going out for brain surgery right now. And came out with, she went down with the biggest smile. She knew she was that bit older. She was 3 going down. And we went to go with her because the nurse took her by the hand down, and she brought the Bravery company sent out her this little teddy for her. And she carries it everywhere. The thing is mank, but it's front of it. But she loves it. And I remember I got down with her little teddy, but they said, we're going down to the play area. Do you want to come with us? And like, I was like, you're very brave and stuff like that. Like, they obviously gave her medicine to put her to sleep. But she said to me, I felt very sleepy when I was playing with them toys. Do you know? But they obviously made her feel comfortable and stuff like that. But she came out and she was very sick after the surgery. Like, she was really sick. And she was just lobbing a line there. And then the next day, oh my God, she was swinging out the lamppost, swinging out everything. But no, she was walking at this time. I actually missed a bit. Skipped the part. The whole bit when she started walking. We went to Wexford. She was 2. And we went to Wexford, and like, she was sitting up on her own. Now, we always had cushions. The cushions came everywhere. They were all around, because she used to just fall to the side. Like, and we were in Wexford. But she had this little doll and pram. It was a little cheap little thing. It was a fiver or something. And we brought that with us. Don't know why, because she used to sit there and roll the wheels. Like, so me and James was out smoking in the mobile, and Jack's in the sitting room in the thing with the baby. I heard Jack scream. I said, the child is dead, quickly. The child was walking with our buggy. Now, she took one step. But Jack, like, even for Jack, he's like, she's walking. He was screaming with excitement. It was, and you want to hear, we all screamed that much the child hit the floor. We were screaming that much. He's like, Ma, she's had to take one step, but we caught it. Like, do you know, as well as because she stood up and took a step. And I was like, no, this couldn't be happening. Like, and James was like, don't be getting hopes up, Jen, don't. And I said, no, she is walking. She's going to walk. She got up and stood up, and she's had to find the strength to get up and do it. So we got trying to get her, you know, the usual making each out of us. Please, come on, we have waving sweets and all, nothing, but she wouldn't. She's just standing there but even for her to stand up, it was amazing. Just for her to see her standing up, it was unreal. So that was a while. It took weeks, months actually for her. She was getting stronger and stronger, and the physio was helping an awful lot as well. And even that, the physio was, now this was a different lady. Jesus, thank God I didn't go back to that. And she said to me, she was a young girl, she was like me, and I was telling her all about the experience that I went through, and she said, no, your daughter is going to walk. She said, I'm telling you now, I know the strength that she's had to be putting in week after week in physio. And she made me feel so much better. So that was when we met. I had been online, and I seen on Facebook there was a run going on for hydrocephalus, spinal bifida and hydrocephalus. But it's Hannah, it's Rosie's best friend now, because me and Anto and Joanna's parents connected together through a Facebook page that parents have for kids with the same thing. And should I just text the man, Steve, and his name is, and I was like, I'd love to do your run, you know, all my family, well, we'll walk.
And it's kind of, where was she from?
Hannah's from Tala. And so is Stephen, he's from Tala. So the run is being held in Corky Park.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, this would be great for us to do, you know, to raise money and stuff. Like the money was going to the charity, Spina Bifida and hydrocephalus. And I never knew how many people there was out there with the same illness, like, because I never heard of it. It was my first time to hear of it with Rosie. So that was a couple of weeks up to the run, and I got loads of people involved. Loads. We had to wear these orange t-shirts now. We got bus loads because there's so many of us. Like. So I seen on Facebook, I was sitting in my ma's house and I seen, flicking through Facebook, and I seen a run going on for Spina Bifida and hydrocephalus. So the man's name was Stephen. And so I texted him and I said, come here, can we get involved in the run? My daughter has hydrocephalus. So he was delighted. But he had actually knew about us because Hannah's dad is his best friend. Okay. So he'd obviously heard of us, like, and so we were chuffed and stuff, and I literally got the whole family, like everybody. There was loads of us, bus drives of us going out. So this was on in Corky Park. So the whole place just lit up in orange because the t-shirts were orange, because the colours for Spina Bifida and hydrocephalus is orange and blue. Okay. And so it was great. So we walked. Now I couldn't run. I never ran before in my life. So we walked 5k and it was great. Now it took us an hour. We were the last ones to come across with Rosie, like, but it was great, like, to see her walking under the finish line, and then all of our family was just standing there waiting on her. So then I got the itch. I was like, right, I might do more of these little walks. Like, these are great. Like, and even like my family, Tracy, the whole lot, they said we felt great after getting out and just doing that bit of exercise. So we raised tons of money for Spina Bifida and hydrocephalus, and so we got involved in more runs. And James was like, oh my God, you're stressing me out with all this, because I was getting very involved in this. I was like, oh, but this keeps me going because I can't walk because Rosie. Like, Rosie don't look after her. So I said, right, I might as well do my thing now. And the one thing I love is helping other people and giving as what I can give. So I signed up to do another 5k with Stephen. Fair play, he was always there and he helped us through it. Rosie was after having the surgery, and I was like, right, I'll take her. I took her in a buggy. My friend Ruth was at the lending me a running pram. She's great. And even watching her as well, I watched her running and I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm like her. And our daughter was running as well, and she's just a little bit older than Rosie and she's flying, like. So I was like, right, I'll get into this. But I ran my first 5k with the pram. Oh my God, I said never again. I couldn't breathe. I thought my legs were going to fall off. So like that again, after you finish a run, it's like an adrenaline goes through your body. It's like this, I'm at achieving something, because I never felt so good. I never achieved things. And I was like, right, I think this is for me. Like, so eventually I was kept doing it, and I was getting better at the 5Ks, you know, I was getting a little bit faster and stuff. So we done many runs with Stephen, many of them. And then I went on board then, there's a Spina Bifida hydrocephalus Dublin branch. Okay. That Hannah's dad runs. Now this is helping adults with Spina Bifida and hydrocephalus. So I ended up jumping on board with them, and what we done was a barbecue day up in the Spina Bifida place that's in Tallaght as well. I think on Dawkin, and it broke, even watching these people, it broke me heart. Like looking at this, like, and did you know what? They looked so happy. Like it was like, this is their day and this is their time to get out. Like you could see some of them were wheelchair users and some weren't. We could see the strength in them, you know. It was amazing, and they had an absolute ball of a day. Brilliant. So I started getting then more involved. We done a quiz night in a pub in Tallaght. So I was like, I said, right, I want to be more involved in this. So what do I do? Like, I never really done events, you know, like planned events or stuff like that. So I went around, I don't know where the confidence came from. literally went to every shop in Dublin. Can I have this? Can I have that? We're doing this. Can I have this? Like, I asked everyone for everything, all for prizes on the night. And it was in the January. It was just before COVID hit. And we had a ball. They had a ball. The people, these adults with this spinal hydrocephalus, they had a great night. And they couldn't thank us enough. And just for that, just to say thank you. Like, and I always say, well, I hope someone does this for Rosie in years to come. I hope that she can have this as well. Do you know, and someone be there to help her and give her this little bit of happiness. So that was a success. Then the COVID hit. And my heart, I couldn't even think about these people because they were just stuck in their houses. There was nothing we could do for this. So what I done was a 10k garden challenge, you know, stuff that I could try and do for these people. And my God, the garden challenge, run around the garden, 10k. I was like, oh my God, run around in circles. But it was great, like when you think about what you're doing it for. And like Rosie's running around in a superhero costume behind me. like you come behind me, Superwoman. And she loved it. Like, she thinks it was the best thing ever. So during the COVID then, everyone was just, COVID hit me bad, like mentally bad, because I was very strict with the kids, and because I had to be for Rosie and I had to be for family as well to keep them safe. So it was mentally affecting me, and I said, right, I have to do something. Like, I love being busy and planning things and doing events or something. And James like, no, I'm not another event. Please, Jennifer, can't be. He gets stressed out about it because he doesn't get all the time. Yeah. It's all going into other things. So I was like, right, you know what? We'll do a 1k a day challenge. See, we needed money as well to raise for this branch for the people in Dublin that had to spinal hydrocephalus, like to send out them hampers and to get stuff in for them. And so I was like, right, well, they need us, so they need us to do this for them. So I said, right, Rosie, you're doing the 1k a day challenge. And then, like, what the plan was, it was the thing I wanted to do. I always wanted to do my own event, run with Rosie, you know, in the Phoenix Park, and have a day where there's a finish line and everyone gets involved and stuff like that, and let her have our moments. Like, this was a child that was never able to walk, and now she's running 5k. So we done COVID, obviously wouldn't let us plan this event, so I had to put that one off. So I said, right, in the 10 days up to, we had the event, I can't remember the date, it was sometime in August. So I said, you know what, we'll do it. What I called was the power of 10. So I said, right, she'll run the 10 days, and then on the last day it'd be the run with Rosie. But everyone had to do virtual. There was we couldn't get crowds out. And the amount of people that got involved was unbelievable. Now, Rosie used to run, and God love her, like the 1k, I've seen it even on day 6. Like, she wasn't even well. She had a cold and all, and she was like, oh, I'm not getting up to do this. Like, and I'm like, think, Hannah, come on, think, Hannah, and get up and do it. Like, come on, Hannah, I'd love to be able. So she did, and she flew it. And it was in that time, like, I always got out with her. I was out with her for the 8 days, and I remember getting a message off my friend Janine, and she was like, I'm at the meeting talking to the fella from the running club. And I was like, what running club? I was at seeing a thing on Instagram, but I wasn't really looking into it. I was like, oh yeah, that's a new club at the home, like starting up in town and stuff. And I was like, oh, deadly, like. So they said, can you run day 9 with her? I was like chuffed, like delighted. I was like, the COVID rules, you know, no hugging, no touching, no breathing, the wrong direction. Like, so we met in the polo grounds in the Phoenix Park, and my nerves were gone because, you know, I had no meeting new people. I still, like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, you know. But once I get chatting, then I'm grand, like. So Dwayne and Carl, like, they come up. I was at being chatting to Dwayne. He's real outgoing, like, he's real, and I felt so comfortable even when he was on the phone. I knew, I was like, I'm going to go well with him. Like, he was real chatterbox, like. And he said, we're getting a t-shirt made for her. I was like, oh God, it's a light. Like, see, even when people like give her a package of jellies, not like, oh man, me nerves, because it's the kindness out there. Like, it's so kind, like, if people to even think about her. And we so they came up to us, and they had me a t-shirt as well. And I was like, oh, thanks. You know, like, I wasn't in a running club or stuff like that. I just went out on my own and done little runs. Like, I was shy, like, I was just trying my best to just keep going. And they were like, you should come up to the running club. And I was like, oh God, me join a running club? I don't think I have the confidence to even go up there. Like, you're mad. But I just said, yeah, I will, you know. So we done the 1K and Rosie waffled the ears off the two of them the whole way around the polo grounds. And they loved her, like she loved them. And from that day, she'd say, they're my uncles, Dwayne and Carl. Like, and she never knew them. Yeah. But she's like that. She's really confident. She's really easygoing. And I some days I wish I was like her, you know. But so she done the last day with just me, James and Jack. We just done it as a family in the polo grounds again. And Jack, see, we had the 5K on that. We done the run with Rosie 5K. So Jack and James took on the 5K. Right. So they done the lap at the polo grounds 5 times. So me and Rosie's pottering just the once. I said, we just do your 1K. But we raised an awful lot, over $3,000 she raised from just doing the running through an account. Wow. Like the people, strangers, like she's literally inspiring us. People are getting up off their couches and getting out and walking and running, and I was like, this is unbelievable. But the amount of friends that we've met along the whole way of the journey, like, is amazing. So we got that over. It was a bit stressful now, I have to say. It's not easy planning these things. Like, it is hard on me. Like, I'd sit for hours and I have to make sure everything's perfect. So then after that, then I remember I never turned up. I said, you know what, the t-shirt that they gave me, I never took it on me back. They were Inner City Running Club t-shirt. Never. I was running around Ballyfermot with the t-shirt on, like, and it was like, it gave me that boost. Yeah. Like, it gave me a huge boost to push myself a bit further. And then I was put in a group. Like, we have these groups, and some of the people from town I didn't even know, and I'm from town. And I swear to God, like, I wouldn't even call them friends now. I'd call them family, because they're an amazing bunch of people. So any event that was going on, I would go in and turn up to the event. So the first one I done with them was the women's mini marathon we done. And that was a 10K. And like that as well, even I was like, I don't know anyone. Everyone knows each other in the club and I don't know anyone. But it was like, I knew. The minute I stepped into the Grange Common, like, there was everyone was just all over each other. Like, it was great. Like, they were just so nice, and I felt so comfortable, and I couldn't wait to get back to do another run with them. So from then on, I gradually builded myself up. Like, there was days where I was like, like, why am I even doing this? Like, I'm crap, you know, things like that. But one thing I never done was never compared myself to another person. And in that club, I found there's no competition. Everyone is out there doing the same thing. In that club, trying their best to do the same thing, whether it's to get out to clear your head. Like, and I'd be honest, I get out to run just to get away with the kids. And I tell anyone that, because it's great. Like, even in now at running, just a break away with the kids is unreal. It's like therapy. So I got more involved in with the club, and then Rosie took on another challenge for our school. The school, it was they had to it was so many days, say like 12, 13 days or something. And you see what it was like, they walk a 5K, and I walked 40 minutes a day. Right. So she covered 180 something kilometres within them days. Sure, I had this child, she's nothing left of her toe now. Oh my God. But we're always like that. We're always there. I said, well, why not do it for something? So now there was no fundraising involved in that. It was just for the school to get all the parents active because of COVID. And like that again, the Inner City, like Darren Sanders, he's just amazing. I know his name. Oh, yeah. Was he a dancer? Yeah. No, okay. He's teaches dancing. Right. He's Rosie's dance teacher. That's how I know, yeah. But I met Darren. I never knew of Darren. No, he teach my brother dancing, but I never knew of him. And everyone seemed to have known him. And I'm like, how do I not know him? I swear to God, he is a gent of a man. A gent. He's the funniest person ever as well. So I got to know Darren, and he's like, right, we have something for Rosie, come to my house, like, for doing all our running and all. And I was like, fair play, like, they didn't have to do that. Like, and that means the world to me, for someone to recognise my child. That's all, like, and for what she's doing. Like, there's many people out there that didn't want to know. Do you know, they didn't. They were like just pushing it away. But family and them, that running club, they are her family. And what they do for her is incredible. So we went to Darren's house, and like that again, I was like, oh God, I don't even know the chap. I'm going to his house. The minute he stepped out of the garden, like, it was just, I was like, this is unreal. Like, how are these people so nice? Like, you want to see what this stuff they got. big picture frame runner, the best runner in the club, and she has them all. She has, I mean, the bedroom, the balloons, there's still an Easter balloon. I remember they got her, it's still blown up. I don't know how it was at the last time. But so she was delighted with her life. She was chuffed, and it made her feel like I done this, and like I got these gifts off these people, and it was great. They got a big poster and all made for. So I was like, right, that's it. No, they won't get rid of us now. Like we're literally in there, like so. There's no getting rid of us, Rosie. So then I started like going to all the other events. I actually done a half marathon virtual. And I was like, right, that was like my third half marathon. I was like, right, I have to push myself. But I remember Dwayne saying to me on the day at Darren's, I was like, she's doing a 5K day challenge. Now this was like months before, like, but we knew she was going to be heading for this in July. Like. And he was like, right, well, we're having an event in August. Like, why don't you let her finish it up in that and do a half marathon? And I was like, oh, I'm not doing a half marathon. I might push myself to the full. And he's looking at me and saying, wow, you mad swine. Like, you're not training for this. So I had that set in my mind. I was like, right, I'm going to do this. Now, to do a full marathon, you need to literally nearly push our kids away to put that time and effort in to do it. Like, and I said to James, like, I'm doing a full marathon. And James said, well, this is what you wanted to do. This is what you aim to do. Like, push yourself. Like, he's good like that. He'd tell you. Even though when I was like, oh, no, I'm not doing it. You are doing it. Like, there was no, like, saying, no, you're not, like. So I didn't really put the training in, I'll be honest. Right? I didn't, like, I don't drink water, I don't stretch the physio, I was nearly having a heart attack when he listened to me. But I knew in my head, I was like, I don't care if I have to crawl, if my knees are cut, I'm getting to that finish line. Like, so at the start of July, then I started to doubt myself. I was like, no, I can't see it on me or Rosie's challenge. There's no way I can do 5K day and do a marathon the next day after that. So we put it out there that Rosie was doing the 5K day challenge. But the only thing I didn't put up was that she was cycling and walking and running. So I got abuse of people on Instagram. And I swear to God, James had to hold me like a baby. I hadn't got the strength to fight back, to answer back. I was literally distraught. And I said to myself, oh my God, I am the worst mother in history.
What were they saying?
There was a page, 2 pages made up on Instagram. And then I was blocked from the pages. But then there was people that I knew as well. Like saying, oh my God, like child run 5K a day. Like, and I was like, no, she's not. Like, and I was explaining myself to these people. But on one of the messages I got saying, your kids should be took off you. Our little legs, how is she going to do this, that and that? And I hadn't got time to, I remember I was sitting in the bed and looking at it and going, and then knowing you're blocked off something from Instagram, that's it, it's gone. Like, the page, you can't get into the message. And I said, James, I'm not going to let her do it. I said, like, they're right. Like, oh my God, like, what a mother am I? 5K every day? Like, can you imagine the pain that you want to go through? And he was like, but she's able. You know she's capable of doing this. So why would you stop her? And like the first day that she done it, I was afraid to even put it up. I was like, oh, I'm not even putting it on. I'm afraid to put it up. Like, so I had to explain myself to people and put it on the story. Like, it's walking, cycling and running. So then I got my strength back and I said, like, fuck you. It's like, if anyone has something to say about my child, come to fucking me and tell me, like, say it. Like, I had never ever set my child out there if I knew she wasn't capable of doing this. Like, we do that anyways. If I put a Fitbit on Rosie, I'd say about 100k a day because she's wiry. She's constantly on the go. And so she should be. She's great. Like, she's not one of them kids that sit around in front of the telly all day.
And she was told she'd never walk.
She's not told she'd never walk or talk. And she doesn't stop. And it's amazing. Like, so I eventually got over that, and I swore at the end of it, I said, oh, do you know what? I'm not going to ruin it. It's Rosie's time. I'm not going to ruin it. She was doing this for Hannah. Hannah needed the money for the equipment she needed at home. Her parents were struggling. They needed that. So they needed us. They needed me and they needed Rosie. So we were going to help them no matter what. So a lot of people then, at the start now really, like, it was out there. But now, our first run she done with a girl from Ballyfermot, she runs with the Trotters Running Club, and fair play, she got involved. And Ruth and Ella, I'd be good friends with Ruth, and her little daughter loves running. She's running 10Ks and all. And I liked that with Ruth. I said to Ruth, what'll I do? Like, and Ruth said she got the same thing. Like, her little one was running a 10K. And the same like that, people were like, disgraceful, like, you know. So Ruth reassured me and she said, Jennifer, the child does it. She'd run around all day, so let her do it. This is for a good cause. So I was delighted. And so most days like she'd cycle the 5k. Now it was my feet. It was my feet that was born in blisters because I'm running after her, like. But we loved it. There was never a day where I said like she wasn't doing it. We went to Wexford and all, and she still was out doing it. Like there was no giving up days off. There was a day off on her birthday, and that was about it because she deserved that day off. And even like that, Rosie said, "But like I want to do it on my birthday." But it was only that I was running around like a mad thing trying to organise a party. I was like, "Hang on, I'll track her on my watch while I'm running around." Yeah. But like she still wanted to do it because she loved it. She's an outdoor child. Rosie hates. She will not sit in front of a telly. Around like that. She hates sitting down.
We were sending her home tonight and she's now off for area somewhere.
She's out on the road.
We're two terrible mothers sitting here. We don't know where our children are.
But so with that again, a lot of people got involved in the run, and a lot of messages that I got on Instagram then. Like there was people that never ran that got up to do a run. And to try, like they're like, if this child can do it, we can do it. And like that, you can do anything you put your mind to. And this is the one thing that I learned in the past year, like to believe in myself. And I do, and I believe that anything is possible. Especially looking at Rosie. Like Rosie has literally changed me as a person. So she was done the whole challenge, and she loved it. So my dad was like, "Why don't we have something on the last day?" No, my dad got on to Dublin Live.
Yeah,
I was like, "I'm gonna kill you," you know, like just tell her story, get her out. But when the story came out, I was to see your child out there. And strangers from everywhere. People are texting me saying like, my cousin that lives like miles away is at the shade and Rosie's story, and they're like, "How do you know?" And they're like, "It just starts coming up on my thing." Like, and I was chuffed. Like I was like, at least she's getting out there and she's letting people know that this is possible. Like we can do this, and we can. And she's doing all this for our friend. And what a friend to have! I swear to God, Rosie, she's the kindest little person in the world, and I know for a fact that she will be a great friend to cope with. She's a heart of gold. Like even with the homeless. She won't pass a homeless person, and neither would I, but I have her like that because it's all kindness. Like, and give them, even if you're going to buy them a sandwich, that's all I want from you, is to just show people kindness. And that's what she's doing. She's proven that to me. And so the last day, my dad was like, "Right, come on, we're organising a big thing." And I was like, "Dad, please, I haven't got the head. I have me running all tomorrow." And like I was trying to organise, like I had me run Rosie's last day. Then I was trying to prep for me run. Then I was sleeping in my mass to get up early, 5 o'clock on Sunday morning to go and do my own run. And I had to try to organise for the day of the event to hold myself together. I was like, I literally try and warm myself out. "Won't you be grand? Come on." So my auntie Elaine, she's the Lord Mayor of Sherry Street. Right. So she put it on her Facebook page. He's all better view. I said, "Oh, it's clapping her down the road and whatever."
Is she the official Lord Mayor of Sherry Street?
I know, it's made up.
Just checking.
She just does it for the chain.
Oh, she's gas.
She's comical. But so she put it up, and then we went into mass on the Saturday. And I was all over the place. So I was like, I can't even talk to people today. Like, I just can't. And then people just start coming out of the cracks of the walls. Like we said, we'll do it. I started at 3 o'clock. Yeah. And I was at the goal and getting 2 balloons made in the party shop. But the woman wrote on them, "Well done, Rosie," and then 5k day for Hannah. And so we said that would be the starting line. And so everyone gangs at my ma's door. I'm like, where did the people come from? But it was everyone that always supported her. Like everyone I seen that outside there was the ones that was always had her back. Always. So it was great. Like, so we started off, and my sister-in-law, she put on the amp, and no, that song, "You're a Superstar." No, I couldn't. I was running up the road with a ball in my throat. And Rosie what we planned on doing was putting Rosie on the scooter for 4k. And we'll walk 4k, and then we let her run the last, right? Yeah. She sprinted off. No scooter, ran. So there's loads of people left behind that were supposed to come out. So there was Jen and Lisa and Liz from the Inner City Running Club, and my cousin Darren, Jack. We ran with her. And like I'm Ruth as well. And I'm like, okay, hang on, where's the scooter? Someone needs to go and get the scooter. She's not going to be able to do. She never ran a 5K.
Yeah.
So we started off at Charles Street, ran all the way down by the Keys, round by the O2, down East Wall, and out down by Fairview. And I was like, Liz, fair play at Fairview, just threw her on her back for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I was carrying her. But the child never said, she kept sprinting off. And I was like, where are they trying to give away? Will we have a big run on tomorrow? Like, will this stop? And I couldn't, like, we turned to Shell Street, and Ruth said to me, we're at 4K, so we would have been bang on 5K at Shell Street. And like, we were coming down 7th place. I was like, this is not happening. Like, she's at the running 5K. Like, I said, what a terrible mother I am for making her run 5K. Like, it's terrible. The child wouldn't wait on me. She just went up. So we were coming through Charlotte and Charlotte Street, and James rang me and he said, where is this? I was just turning, so he had this thing blaring again. And the whole, if Charlotte Street was out at the doors clapping, there's a girl, Sinead, as well. I always buy me balloons off one. They done bows, orange and blue bows, and put them on everyone's railings. Like, that's how good that they are of a community. But like, all out clapping or coming down, and she loved it. And then Elaine was standing waiting. Now all the families in the middle of the road clapping or coming down. And you want to see even the amount of presents people bought, or like the bags we mastered. They're like the bag lady coming in.
God.
It was unbelievable. Literally the support. Like, and these are things, these are the type of people that get you through these things. Like, this is what we do it for. We do it for these people. And like, even my brothers and sisters, like, each and every single one of them is constantly saying, I'm so proud of you, so proud of you, so proud of you. But like what I say to them, like, and I am so proud of them, but I do this for them. And to let them see the strength. If they see me crumble, and my kids see me crumble, then that's it. They'll crumble with me. And I'm not happy. That's one thing I always said. I would never let my kids fall with me. Like, I'd probably fall on my own, but they never know. And like, since with the running literally changed my life. And I'd advise anybody that's feeling down in themselves, even get out and do a half an hour walk. Like, Alana joined the running club, and Eric. And I was talking to Alana on my way out here tonight, and she said, Jennifer, 3 days. I joined 3 days ago. She said, and the difference in my mind, like, it changes. People doesn't think. Like, some people would say to me, what are you running for? You know, like, what's it like? Running as well, long distance is tough, mentally tough. Like, I done a 30K from my ma's house to hold something back on my own. I ran, and I cried, I laughed, I talked to myself. I done, like, you're mentally, emotionally, like, just, like, it's crazy, like, what goes on in your mind. But you need that. You need to get out, and you need to just have that bit of time to yourself. Even if it's 5K, 30K, 50K, it doesn't matter. Like, it's still good. It worked for me, and it's worked for people that I know around me. So if anyone was to say to me, Jennifer, I feel down, I'd say, get up and get out and walk or run and try, do whatever, because it does work. I don't see, I know, like, some people are like, you have to take tablets and all to help them and stuff, but my nanny always says to me, never turn to tablets. Never ever turn to a tablet. Like, there's always a way. She never told me to go and run and walk. There's always a way out of it. And I found my way. I found the way to get out of there. And that was by running. And I'll keep on doing it if I have to. Now, don't get me wrong, now the weight falls on me, so I try to keep putting the weight back on. But I'll keep doing it. And I'll keep improving to my kids that I am stronger than I've ever been.
So you did the 5K, and so then how did you get on with your marathon?
Well, the next day I was exhausted, and I won't lie, I was really tired. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to get up in the morning and do this. So we stayed in my ma's house because we were meeting in Henrietta Flats up the road. So just me, Rosie and James stuck in one little bed, right? So we'd no sleep. The worry of even doing the marathon, the anxiety. How
long is the marathon? How far? What's the distance?
Well, I said I'll do the marathon for 5.5 to 6 hours, because that's, I never pushed myself at times. It was just to cover the distance, to say that I'd done it.
And what is the distance of a marathon?
42.2 kilometres.
Okay.
So it was the long.
And you've never done that before? Never.
That was the first time. So that morning I got up at about 4:45, and James like, you better eat breakfast. I never eat breakfast. So I was forcing it. I think I took one bite of a Weetabix. I was like, I can't eat it. So I went up to the flats and the lads were putting all the stuff together, and Dwayne and things were up swinging out the poles, putting up the banners and stuff. It was deadly looking. Do you want to see the flats? Just blue and orange everywhere you looked. So it got me in the humour, you know.
And blue and orange is the colour.
If the inner city running club and find it, it's mad, like, you know, that. So
such a connection.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy. So we were starting off, and there was a fella, a man that I was running with. Ruth and James was cycling beside us. That was to carry the waters. And there was my friend Anto as well. He had offered, so he said, like, come here, I'm doing the marathon as well. If you want me to run with you. Now, he's a great runner. He'd do that marathon within well quicker than I would. And I was like, oh God, like, it's okay. You don't have to like wait on me. I'll just go myself, like, it's fine. Now, I'd never met the man before, but he was in the club, and this is where the kindness comes in from people. Everyone's there to support each other. So his friend Elaine as well, she was running, she's great, she ran marathons before, and he said, no, like, we're going with you and we're going to get you through it. And so I remember we are running, I think, out by the coast. That was like 14k when we got to the Hout. And then coming back on the coast roads, it just hit me. I was like, I just can't do it. I just felt like everywhere was just giving up on me. I was like, no, I'm just not good enough for this. There's no way I'm going to reach 42k. And I remember saying it, and I was like, no, you're doing it. There was no negative at all out of anybody. Just like, no, you're doing this. So there was people out doing the half marathon. So whichever way they cut through, we got to see them. And when I seen them, some from the club, it was great that there was more people running. So we left them at the Strand because they had a different route to us. And we still had a long, long way to go. And I was like, I can't do it. So we ran past several places, and my cousin Lisa was out at our door, fair play, 9 o'clock in the morning. It was Sunday to get Lisa out of bed. I was like, oh my God, people actually love me. And it was great. Her and her son was out, and they were clapping, giving us water and bananas and stuff. And it was after I seen Lisa, I got very emotional. I started crying, and I was like, why? In my heart, I was like, no, I can do it. But then I was like, no, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to finish. And I kept saying my knee was sore, my hip was sore, this was sore, nothing was sore. I just wanted them to say, right, just give up. And then, like, if I'd give up, that was, I knew. And I kept saying to myself, my 2 kids are at the finish line waiting on me to come. But every time I thought about the distance I had left, it was pulling me back. Do you know, I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to be able mentally. So I pushed through, and I kept throwing salt tablets or something in my mouth, and bananas and water and this, that. I don't know what he was eating, jelly beans and all Elaine was giving me. And they were having the banter, the music was on, and they were having the crack. And I remember saying on the quays, we ended up coming out on the quays, and I knew we were on the stretch home. We had to run from the convention centre all up to the Phoenix Park, you know, the White House, and then come back down to the flat. So I knew that whole long road, but it was a stretch. But I was on my way home. I was coming home. I'm coming home with these kids. That's all I kept saying. So I remember getting on the quays, and Dwayne said to me before we left the flats, you're going to hit a wall at 42k. And I'm like to them, what wall is it? Like, I didn't see a wall. I got clear, I saw through. And trust me, I hit that wall hard, because it's like you just don't want to move. You don't want your legs to move. It's like you're paralysed. And mentally as well, you're giving up. So thank God for them. I remember saying, I had my phone, and I always carry my nanny in the back of my phone. And I'm like, James, where's my nanny? Where is she? Where's my nanny? Like, you're just gone. Your mind has gone completely blank. Like, and he's like, your nanny's not here. She is here. I was like, my nanny's with me. And I remember just saying to her, please, nanny, I beg you just to get me to the Phoenix Park even. So, and I remember I was shoving a banana down the back of my throat. He's eating and I'm eating with him. Like, you shove, like, get it, didn't you? I was like, oh, here. Like, so I got a bit of a boost, and the energy started coming back. I was like, right, I can do it. Like, I'm literally going to do this first marathon, like, for my kids and for me. And I was so proud of myself running up to Phoenix Park. And then we were coming back down. Like, we literally only had 5k left. I was like, I can't do it. And no, Elaine was like, you're doing it. so was Ruth and James, you're doing it, you're going. So I remember Elaine grabbed me from one hand and Anto grabbed me from, I was like a baby walking down the road, like running. And they held me. But Anto's watch, we got onto the case before we hit the flats, and my watch said 42k. So I done my marathon. But Anto's watch was saying 41. Right? And I said, I'm sorry, Anto, I can't do it. I have to go back to the flats. And then I said to myself, like, that man put himself out for me, got me up to 42 kilometres, and how dare me leave him? So I ran, this time, I couldn't even feel my hips around. I didn't even think I had legs at the street. And we ran down up Abbey Street. So I actually covered a 43.5 kilometres.
Oh my God.
For my first marathon. Now I done it in just under 5 hours. Now I went back to the flats. There was like, everyone was obviously gone because you had to be back to the flats at 2:00. And Dwayne's like, go home and rest. And I'm like, oh, panic attack. Because I knew they had an award for Rosie on the day. Like, it was unbelievable. But if I had my way to go home and go to bed, I would have. But I knew I had to get up. I flew down to Ma's, had a shower, makeup on, looks massive, going back up to the flats. And I'm like, right, I'm going on this session for the day. That's it. One bottle. That's all I could have because I was like that. But I have to say, I've never, ever been so more proud of myself than I am today. And like Rosie's like, did you enjoy your long run? Because she doesn't understand like a marathon. Did you enjoy that long run? You were running for ages. Like, and I'm like, Rosie, I don't have a full marathon. She's like, yeah, I do marathons as well. And then the minute we got across the finish line, I remember Carl was Dwayne was at the corner, and I remember Rosie met us at the corner, so she ran across the finish line with us, and I'm so emotional. Like, the four of us went out together, and we came back, the three of us went out together running, and we came back together with Rosie. And I remember just seeing Carl, it was like a blur, and he had the medals in his hands, right? And I'm running towards him. But I was like, there's me medal. Like, I ran for that yellow medal, like with the thing. And I ran up to him, but I held on to him. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, just give me medal. But Darren Sanders was there as well. And I latched onto him, and I literally cried my eyes out. But I was just so happy. I was so happy that I'd done it and I completed it. It was something that I wanted to do for a very long time, but always doubted myself that I couldn't, that I wasn't able. There's no way you can go up and do a marathon. So now I'm signed up to do the Dublin City Marathon, and hopefully I push myself forward on the distance. And I will. And
can I ask you as well, as a mammy, Rosie getting the award for what was it? What award did she get again?
She got Inspirational Runner of the Year.
What was that like for you? Did you know she was getting it?
I only found out a couple of days before. See, what happened as well, the fundraising for Rosie. We had an account where the money went through. So on the account there was over 3,000. The target was 1,500. And that went over the target, so then we put 3,000, and she hit over the 3,000. And then the lads from the Inner City Running Club, the whole club got involved and raised €1,220. So they were giving her a big check on the day. And then Dwayne said to me, come here, Rosie's getting an award. And I was like, oh God, like an award, like they didn't have to do that, you know, and they always recognise her. It's just, they literally break me heart, I have to say. And I put it out there, like, thanks so much, like, to each and every single person out there that has helped her and helped me to get me to where I am today. Like, the best thing I done was join that running club. And people say, but you ran already. But that wasn't the fact. I used to run on my own. I was a real loner. I've made so many friends throughout the running club too, and it's unbelievable. They give me so much confidence, so much strength. Like, there's a lot of them out there that didn't believe in themselves, and they're out smashing. They're actually out tonight doing 25 kilometres for the first time because they're doing the round marathon. And every single one of them is well able. They're well able. If I can do it, Rosie can do it, anyone can do it. All you have to do is believe in yourself.
And on that note, Jennifer, we leave it there. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. And you said that, like, you know, you're so proud of Rosie, but you should be so